And welcome back, everybody, to another Not Guilty. It's your boy, Davey D here, presenting you with the most awesome Not Guilties that these states of unitedness can bring on a daily basis. Wow, it's been a while. How, Lauren? How
A
you
little
doing over there?
rusty.
A
We're a
little
little
rusty.
rusty.
Wow, wow.
Don't worry. We'll get back into the swing of things quickly.
Woo,
Yeah,
man.
it's been a
Okay,
lot.
stretch it out a little bit, huh?
Yeah.
I know. How have you been, Lauren? You've been having a nice summer break?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's been busy, but it's
yeah.
been nice.
I mean, how are you feeling? I know you've been eating a lot of fair food or something like that. That's your
Oh,
thing.
yes. All of the deep fried fair food. And this year they had spicy pickle pizza, which was a new favorite. So if the fair is coming to your area, I highly recommend a day of gluttony.
We took our daughter to her first concert at the OC Fair. We saw a cover band of ABBA and a cover band of the Bee Gees. So
Wow.
yeah,
Did
that
you get
was
any fair food?
no. I got like a drink. I don't like the fair.
What?
I don't like the fair. I don't. It seems like a rip on. I know it's your thing. I don't want to say
It's
why.
only my thing for the
uh,
food.
yeah, I don't know. I,
Well, that's
yeah.
disappointing. I don't know how this
Yeah.
episode's gonna be saved. Maybe our guests like the fair food.
Well, let's talk about our guests. I'm sure they do. They're from the small hometown state of Pennsylvania, from the Allegheny County Public Defender's Office. Also, this where the city of Pittsburgh is. I mean, Pittsburgh sounds cooler, but it's from the Allegheny County Public Defender's Office. We have Ben and Tirza with us today. Ben and
Woo-hoo.
Tirza, how are you both doing? One of you can answer, and then the other.
Sure, yeah, we're doing good. Coming off a big win a couple weeks ago. Um, can't say that I'm a fair fan either. I gotta say
Holy
I'm with
shit.
David.
I mean, if you have never had a deep fried Snickers, I just feel sad for you.
Yeah, I'm about to save this episode. Yeah,
Yay!
I love some fair food, and I was just gonna say I love some deep fried Oreos. So that's the best.
Oreos, cheesecake, Snickers.
Yeah.
They'll deep fry anything, and it is delightful.
It's a great country.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, so Ben and Tirza are from the Allegheny Public Defender's Office. As Ben said, they're coming off of fresh off of a big not guilty win, multiple verdicts. Art Edinger from the Allegheny County Public Defender's Office, a guest from season 2. I can't quite think of the name right now. Pittsburgh public defender reached out to me, said he has these dope ass coworkers, these dope ass public defender colleagues that have an amazing trial to share, to be on it. So this is a fresh not guilty. Like I said, we be bringing the freshest not guilties, right, Lauren?
That's it, apparently. I'm excited now.
Does it get
David
any
has set the bar high for you guys.
does it get any fresher than this? It's gonna be awesome. Okay, so Ben, Tirza, take it away.
Yeah.
Oh wait, how long have you guys been public defenders for, by the way? You look
So
young. You look younger than me, so.
Yeah.
just a few years probably. No, I've been at the office since August of 2019. So
Jesus.
almost exactly 6 years. Yeah.
And I'm just 1 year behind, so 5 years.
Oh, okay.
We are very fresh today.
Yeah,
Very fresh.
We are very fresh.
we got some COVID PDs here.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
That's when I started.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk. Let's hear about this case. I can't wait to. I'm so excited to have you both here. So excited to see Lauren again. I've been missing you. So Ben, Tirza, take it away. Tell us what introduce your client, and tell us what your client was charged with.
Yeah. So met the client. My client was arrested in November of 2023. Client's name is Dan, and he was charged in a criminal complaint with 27 counts of rape and other various counts of sexual assault. He was accused of, throughout a period of 6 or 7 years, he was alleged to have been sexually assaulting, raping his biological niece. That he had custody of her and the niece and her brother because their mother, who is the client's sister, passed away in 2017.
Let me just so it's 27 counts of various sexual assault. Is that what you said? And rape Is it?
Yes, that's right.
How does that all break down? Like 6 counts of rape, 6 counts of sexual assault, 5 counts of something else, or
Ye-
what? What
All
we?
counts bad.
Yes, all the counts were terrible. So I mean, there's in particular, there in Pennsylvania, um, you have rape, um, what they call IDSI, involuntary deviant sexual intercourse, which is basically the same as rape, but it can also be per os or per anus. Um, so there was 5 of those charges, rape slash IDSI, all with a mandatory minimum of 10 to 20 years each. Some of those had most of those had maximums of 20 years. However, there was 2 charges that had maximum of 40 years, and then it kind of descending from that was just sexual assault, statutory sexual assault, indecent assault, aggravated indecent assault. When you add it all together, the maximum sentence that he could have received was 286 years. The guy was 60 years old.
Okay.
Wait, one more question. All right, then I'll hand it over to Lauren. So, if convicted of any one, like if you got not guilty on 26 counts, but then guilty on one, just any one, what was the least amount of time you could do on just one? 10 years?
Well, it depends on which one he would have been convicted of, because we had everything from a maximum of 20 to 40 years versus at the last count, the 27th count of the information, was just a simple assault. So like a physical assault on somebody, that would have been a maximum of 2 years.
Okay.
So all the way from 40 all the way down to 2.
All right, wide range of outcomes here, and I guess we'll get into it a little bit more. And you said he was arrested in 2023, right?
Yeah, November of 2023.
And these allegations span over like what period of time?
So it was alleged to have begun pretty much right when the kids moved in with him, which would have been February of 2017. And the alleged victim said that this occurred, basically every other day from February 2017 until June of 2023.
So 6-year period, 2017 to 2023. Go ahead, Lauren.
So this is all, you said kids, but it's all just one victim?
Yes.
It's not her and her brother? So it's all
Right.
just-
Yep.
And how old was she?
So when she said that it started, she was 11, and when she had moved out of the home and it stopped, she was 17.
So all of the charges, though, are rape charges. There's not any child molestation charges or continuous molestation of a child as we would have here in California.
In California.
So in Pennsylvania, some of the charges would be, so it would say involuntary deviant sexual intercourse of a child under 16 or under 13. So part of the elements of some of the offenses would be for a child.
Okay, and then I assume that those, like here, have harsher punishments.
Yes,
And
that's
the-
what
The younger the age is, the worse the punishment is.
correct, and that's what gives the mandatory minimums.
Got it. Okay. So there was a brother and a sister who moved in together, and only the sister is alleging that this man, who is 60 when you met him, so 54 when it started, was molesting her and raping her. And I just want to be clear, when we're saying rape, we're saying there was full penetration. This wasn't like a little touching or petting of a child. This was full.
Right. So I mean, the way that there was.
Yeah, go ahead and lay out the police report. What does they say they claim happened? Give us some more specific details of, or even
Yeah.
if it mentions the relationship between the children and your 60-year-old client. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I mean, to answer your question, Lauren, her allegations evolved over time. Not only just inconsistency, but like by the time she was telling the police, it was, well, from the time I was 11 until the time I was 14, it was strictly oral sexual assaults, meaning her allegation was that a client was forcing her to suck his penis. And then she said, but when she turned 14, that's when the actual vaginal and anal intercourse was happening. That's what she alleged. And she said that like I said earlier, it was a continuous every other day thing from 2016 to 2017. And the other thing was they had moved around a little bit. They lived over the course of those 6 years. They lived in 4 different houses. So
And do they state the relationship? Why are they living with your 60-year-old client?
yeah, so what in 2017 the alleged victim and her brother, their mother passed away, and that was our client's sister, biological sister. So in 2017, our client went to Philadelphia to take responsibility of these kids, brought them back to Pittsburgh to live with him so he
He
could raise them until they were 18.
he's the uncle.
That's right.
Biological uncle. So I
Yes.
have questions about the alleged victim. I don't know if we want to get into them now, if you're going to get into that later with your investigation, but I have questions about what you knew about this girl, why her mom died, if she had experienced some sort of trauma before coming to live with him, something that might give her a motive to transfer that story to him.
Go ahead, Tirza.
Okay. So one of the things was that kind of came out during trial that wasn't supposed to, but it kind of slipped, is
Let's
that,
wait. Let's wait
okay.
then. Let's wait then.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just what the police report says, right? That
Yep.
he's been sexually abusing this girl. Do we have a name for her? Do we have a fake name that we want to go by?
You just do a first name, Chantel.
Chantel. Okay, so Chantel. And what about the brother? Do we have a name for the brother?
Yeah, his name was Terrence, but they called him Nito. So
Okay.
we'll call him Nito too.
Okay. All right, so you get this police report. You see the 27 count. Ben, you were the lead attorney on this case, right?
I was the one who was first assigned the case, but lead is somewhat of a misnomer. Tirza did so much work on this, a lot more than just like the normal second seat. She did
Right.
a ton of work.
All right. So you were the initial attorney.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Also, we should just acknowledge how shitty it is when you get a case with 27 counts.
Oh my God.
This is just, I mean, to go through all of that, and then if you go to trial, the more counts there are, the less likely you're going to walk your client on everything.
Yeah.
So to get
Oh, yeah.
27 counts and 27 counts of sexual assault of a child, that must have just felt wonderful when that case showed up in your box.
Oh yeah, you love those, right? It's like when you got to flip through 5 pages just to get through the fucking information.
Yeah,
You love that.
So
And
shitty.
It's because then you talk to the client and it's like they don't. He was great. I know we're going to get into that in a little bit. I don't want to jump ahead of myself, but he was incarcerated initially. He eventually ended up getting out of jail before trial, but we can, I guess, get into that later.
Okay. Yeah, that's 27. I don't think I've ever had a 27 count complaint or indictment before or
I
information.
think 34 is my max, and
Wow.
it's just painful.
Okay, so Ben, tell us about it when you go meet the client. What that was like.
Yeah. So I went
What's
down.
your client's name again, by the way?
Our client's name is Dan.
Dan. Okay. So tell us about Dan.
So Dan. Well, first of all, our office is like a 5-minute walk to the jail, so it's actually pretty convenient. So one day before the preliminary hearing, I went down to talk with Dan. Had no idea what kind of guy he was going to be, and he sat down. He's, like I said, he's about 60. He's got big, bushy, gray beard, kind of some bulging eyes on him. Like he was, he was. If I'm being honest, like he was kind of intimidating, but he was super respectful, inquisitive about the case. But he sat me down. I mean, I swear to God, one of the first things he said to me was, "Hey, look, man, I'm a violent motherfucker, but I didn't do this shit. Like you can look at my priors, like this type of stuff. That's not what I do." I was just like, "Oh, yeah, of course." You know, what else? But then he kind of walks through. These are how I know these kids. They're my sister's kids. We've been living with them. All I ever did was put them through school. No, I wasn't nice to them all the time, but I'm not their parent, or I'm sorry, I'm not their friend. I'm their parent. He was talking about the alleged
Old
victims.
school.
Yeah. Oh, this guy is about as old school as you can get. He's just explaining how the alleged victim's brother had just graduated, and he's like, that kid graduated with honors. Like that shit wouldn't have happened without me. Like he was messing up in middle school. Like I kind of, I was a strict parent. It worked out. This, they don't like me, but this is what happened. I didn't do any of this.
Did he? I mean, you said the older brother had just graduated from high school. Did he mention why he thought maybe Chantel would be making this up then? Because that's what he's saying. He's saying I didn't do it, so she's making it up, right? Did he say
Yeah,
why?
yeah. So I mean, what he explained that Nito had just graduated from high school, and that their biological father was still alive and was living in Erie. And for Nito's graduation, some family members came down to Pittsburgh, and that's when, in the days leading up to it, the alleged victim Chantel was telling our client, like, I'm leaving, I'm going to Erie. And he was, the fuck you are, like, you're staying here, you're finishing school. I promised that I would make you finish school. Once you graduate, you can do whatever you want.
This
But
is your client, not the brother.
yes,
Your client
I'm
saying
sorry.
to her, your brother graduated, you're staying here until you graduate as well.
Precisely. And then people come down for the graduation, and that's mid-June 2018. And now all of a sudden these allegations come out, and she goes right to Erie where she wanted to be the whole time.
Now, we have a lot of law students that listen to this podcast. When we're talking about Erie and Pennsylvania Erie, is this Erie Railroad? Like where
Yeah.
the Erie Railroad case comes from that we learned in civil procedure?
That's the one.
All right. I can't remember anything else about that case. But
Just remember the name.
just know
Or like the Monopoly space.
Pennsylvania, yeah, the Erie Railroad. Or is there an Erie Railroad? Yeah.
Yeah.
Railroad. I can't say railroad. Railroad?
You can't say it.
A railroad. A railroad? Railroad.
There you go.
Railroad.
So
Okay.
Your complaining witness wanted. Wait, was that where her brother was moving, or you said her biological dad was in Erie,
Yeah, biological dad was in Erie.
and she wanted to go with bio dad and not finish school, and your client said, "The hell you're doing that."
Correct.
Why wasn't she with bio dad to begin with?
Go ahead, Tirza.
So that kind of gets into what I was getting into before. So it slipped out during trial, but we did know about it beforehand. That at some point when they were really young, they lived with bio dad, and they had an older half sister. And that older half sister, they reported to CYF that she was molesting them. And so she was making them
Sister
have
was molesting them. not
correct,
the
and
dad.
correct. So the sister was molesting them and making them have sex with each other. And so after that happened, they got sent back with mom in Pittsburgh, and our understanding is that mom did not want them to go back and did not let them, and kind of the dad just fell off after that a little bit.
And the dad never didn't really maintain a relationship with them or contact or anything like that.
Not really.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's not uncommon for these for children to sort of romanticize how life would be with non-custodial parents.
Right.
Like let me just be with my dad. My mom's passed away. Let me go find my dad. Let me find him. Let me connect. So, anyways, I can see that happening.
Yeah.
So then,
So at this
So-
point, you have a complaining witness. Your client is saying that she's making this up because she wanted to go be with bio dad, and your client was standing in the way of that. And you have to substantiate, I don't know if substantiate's the right word, but to help illuminate why she's making a story like this, you have information that she is a previous victim of molestation and sexual assault by half-sister, her bio dad's first daughter, who was molesting her and making her engage in intercourse with her brother.
Yes, all three. The reports that were given to CYF, Tirza said a little bit earlier, children, youth, and families, was that the sister kind of instigated all three of them having sex with each other at various points. That was happening at biological dad's house.
And
Yeah.
at this point, that your complaining witness knows that making these types of allegations leads to a result because they were, in fact, removed from bio dad's home.
Well, and so that's I agree with that. Yes. See, the authorities were not the ones that removed them, but it did. Mom picked them up and got them out of there as soon as she became aware of the allegation. Yeah.
Okay.
So then, after you meet your client, like how are you starting to get your defense together? Like, what's the strategy at this point?
Man, I remember being at the jail with my legal pad, and I had taken uh, it felt like 20 pages worth of notes because I mean, you guys probably know how it is. Like, this is the first time you're seeing them. They've been in jail for a week or two waiting for their prelim. And it's like, I've learned in this job that, you know, you got to let them talk for the first five
They
minutes
got to
or
get it
else
out.
they're not 100%, or else they're not going to be able to hear you, like
Yeah.
almost physically not be able to hear you.
Mhm.
Um, but he was great. Once he was violent. Great. What else do you need, sir? And so, but I remember taking all these notes because he's like, what I was interested in is, okay, well, what's the timeline of this? And I want to know the addresses where you were and when you were there and who else lived there. Who should we talk to? Were there people, that would have information about this? And so we started going through, okay, well, in 2017, we started living here. There were this many bedrooms. The kids had their own bedrooms. Mine was downstairs. Just kind of getting the details of everything. Because at that point, I'm preparing for a preliminary hearing. Um, to know the right questions to ask, even knowing that the DAs are going to object as soon as you ask something that's not directly related to an element of the crime. But you want as much information because, and you guys know, like the more times people have to tell their story to the police, cop number one versus cop
Starts to
number
fall
two,
apart.
100
If they're
exactly,
not telling the truth, it falls apart.
exactly. So
Also,
that's
like,
yeah.
I mean, supposedly this happened every other day for a 6-year period. So who else is living in the home or apartment, wherever they live? Does she share a room? Would they have noticed anything? And it's kind of, I think, for every other day. I mean, of course, people exaggerate, but it's kind of hard to like shield something like that for such a long time.
Who did
Yeah.
she report this to?
Her aunt. So
An
one of
aunt
the
went to the
aunts that
police?
came. So one of the aunts came for Nito's graduation, and she disclosed. And then they came up with a plan to meet up with Biodad, and they immediately went back to Erie. And then yes, Aunt was the first one who reported to the police.
And she had never reported this to anyone else before.
Well, uh, that's a big, big trial issue.
Okay. The information you have at this point in the police report is that she'd never reported it before?
Essentially, yeah. She had mentioned that she had told her brother on one occasion when they were younger. In the police report is all we had.
Okay, but at least at this point, what you have in the police report is something consistent with what happened before. Whereas she made a report not to authorities to her mom and was taken where she wanted to go to mom's house. Now she wants to go to Biodad's house, so she doesn't go to the police or a mandated reporter of any kind. She tells Aunt, who would be Biodad's sister. This is on her dad's side.
The DA's had a family tree that they made. I wish I had that up right now because it is really hard to keep track of that. Is it?
I believe that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she got her out right away and back to Erie where Chantel wanted to go.
Right.
Okay.
What about was there any sort of forensic evidence, like a start exam, a sexual assault rape kit done? Was she taken to the hospital? Did they do any DNA or anything like that?
None.
Yeah, nothing like that. Even though, like, so the forensic, and the detective ended up saying this later on, but the forensic interview would have been the preferred method, but she talked to, I mean, we're talking 4 or 5 different officers because she's in Erie, then she's in Philly, and like all these things kind of come together. By the time it was said and done, I mean, she had made different statements to like legitimately 4 or 5 different police officers.
Well, and also in Pennsylvania, the protocol is to not do a forensic interview after age 14. Since she was right, I'm seeing your faces, and it is wild. So anytime we have an accuser above 14, there is usually not a forensic interview, even though everybody agrees that is best practice.
When was she saying the last sexual assault occurred when she reported it at Nito's graduation?
Like a month or even a couple weeks prior. Like it was
Okay.
it was
So
right
a
up
SNART
leading
exam
up.
really wouldn't have turned up anything unless there was some serious and severe tearing and bruising or something.
Right, but they didn't do it anyway. And because Tirza's right, she said it was, there was a bunch of things that were inconsistent in her statement, but it was always this happened from the time I got there right up until the day I ran away.
Okay.
But the problem was she runs away, and then the police aren't notified until weeks later. So
So what happens next in the case then? You're preparing for the prelim. Like, does the preliminary hearing happen? Are you interviewing witnesses?
yeah, the prelim happened. I don't know if it wasn't on the very first listing, it was within a couple weeks of that, so it ended up happening pretty quickly. Um, and so you get to see this accuser for the first time, and so the prelim happens. At that point, it's tough to really gauge, okay, was what she said here inconsistent with what I've read so far? Because in Pennsylvania, like before the preliminary hearing, we're just getting a copy of the criminal complaint, which is like derived from all the police reports that have been written. So it's like we're getting a summary of all they have. It's just like the official complaint. And it's usually very bare bones, and like it's intentionally that way, so you don't know the questions to ask. So it was hard to tell at that time, you know, am I really getting anything out of this? And because you don't know, like that's why going back to when I first met him in the jail, what I'm going to do at the prelim is, okay, you've made all these allegations. We're going to go through every address. You're going to tell me the details about every time you told the police, so we have you on the record. And so that's what we did. There was the only like kind of strange thing that I would say happened at the prelim was it kind of went off the rails at the end when she was like, oh, and like I've been texting him and he's trying to. She brought up like bank accounts and money, which was like something that
Texting your client?
yes, after this had happened because like I said, she runs away in June. He's not arrested until November. They actually ended up. We didn't know this at the time of the prelim, but they like had set up like wiretaps. They were trying to like get him on a recorded line,
Yeah.
like
Like a
admitting to some of it.
pretextual call.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
it didn't ever happen. But
Thank
they
God.
had like yeah, but they got authorization for it. So
But so she was sorry, talking about money? Like she was asking him about money?
she like and again, this was all very vague at the prelim, and of course, when I tried to follow up to it, the DA was like objection relevance. I didn't get to dive really into it, but if I recall correctly, she was saying like he controlled all these aspects of my life. He never let me leave, and like even though I had a job, the money was going into like a joint account, and he would only like dispense it when he saw fit, which ended up like being bullshit. But
She just,
that's what,
so she just made up that they had a joint banking account.
yeah. And then we never heard about it again because it didn't fucking exist.
So she's just throwing out like buzzwords, right? Like she's dipping into like the control, almost like the cycle of violence in a domestic violence relationship. She's just throwing everything. I mean, at least that's would be the defense theory at this point.
Right.
So what happens after the prelim?
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Um, so prelim happens. Eventually, we get all the police reports. We order a copy of the preliminary hearing transcript, and we go to a pretrial conference. We set the case for trial, and this case got delayed so many times for a multitude of different reasons. I mean, the first time, I think it was actually it was scheduled for like July of 2024, and then the detective couldn't make it because they were on vacation. And then the next time, we asked for a continuance to get the client's medical records, which we'll get into later. Um, so then it got delayed again, and then it came up for trial. the lead detective on the case like went into premature birth there, and so it ends up just it gets continued all the way. Oh, and actually I forgot an important point was that one of the times it was continued was because we're 3 days before the trial is supposed to happen, and the DA emails me. He goes, "Oh yeah, by the way, the alleged victim, gave us her phone. We downloaded all the information, and we're going to use it at trial." And I'm like, "Okay, well, can I please have a copy of it first?" And so then, we had to continue it so I could go through, because I mean, they downloaded 3 years
Wow.
worth of messages, pictures,
I don't
Snapchats.
I don't want the discovery of a teenager's phone.
No.
Like that is like a nightmare.
It's
There
really
there was a lot of wild shit on there.
It's like so much bullshit.
It wasn't their smartest move getting that phone. Certainly not.
Okay, so we're talking. I mean, you guys are kind of talking about the trial and it's been continued, but are we ready for trial? Like, what have you done to get ready for trial? What do you have a strategy? Or are you kind of just gonna question her as she gets up there? Like, what's going on here?
Well, the client suggested that we talk to different people. One of the people a couple that he wanted us to talk to were the parents of his ex-wife, and he goes, they're good people. They'll tell you that I didn't do this. And so we had our investigator Marty go talk to these people, and they were like, "Fuck that guy! Like we hate him." It's like
I
saying
love
saying
when
the
that happens.
worst shit ever. And so then that's another time you go down to the jail, and we're like, okay, so that's not gonna work.
Hey, turns out that Johnny at 303 Baker Street actually hates your guts. All right.
Yeah, and
'Cause you're a
it
dick.
was funny because like it could have been. I kind of told him that was gonna happen. He seemed to be shocked by it. I didn't really
What,
understand.
Johnny? No way. What? No,
So
my boy. Like,
yeah, man. So that didn't work out, and there was really no one else because, like you guys know, in these types, and the DAs love to make this argument, like everything happened behind closed doors, so no one really knows. You got to believe them, and so like there wasn't really a ton of people that we could talk to. Now, the other part was okay. Well, the client was interested in character witnesses, but when you have a voluntary manslaughter on your rap,
I was gonna ask about his record. Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't really want to open the door to that.
correct.
No.
And he was usually people get pissed off about that. But he was very understanding. He had been through this type of thing before. Not these allegations.
How old was his rap though? I bet you all this stuff was from like the 80s or something like that.
That's right. There was a burglary in the late 80s, and then in the early 90s was the voluntary manslaughter. So,
Yeah.
and then nothing in between then and now.
And then how much time did he serve on the voluntary manslaughter? Like 3 years or 2 years? I mean,
10 years.
10 years. Okay. I could have gone 3. But that's all right.
Sure
okay.
you could have.
So you went through all of Chantel's phone records, the titillating exchanges of teenagers. And was there anything in there that was helpful or harmful to your case?
Yeah. So it was hard to tell at the time, and going through it was a beast because
Yeah.
there's just so many text messages, and of course, like I think even whenever I get a phone dump, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go through all of this, and there's gonna be one text message to like their best friend being like, man, I can't believe I'm making all this shit up. Like, I hope no one finds out. But obviously, it never happens like that, right?
Yeah, but you have to go through them all just to be sure.
Exactly, and man, I did. The couple weekends before trial, like I spent, the entire weekend going through the phone. I remember telling people afterwards, like, I hope no one ever like can go through my phone like that because I have just recreated like her past 3 years, and I felt weird doing it. But yeah, there was helpful things. There was like interactions with one of her boyfriends. There was interactions between her and her brother, where we're talking, because remember she ends up making a statement like, "Oh, I told Nito the same day that it ever happened for the first time," and then it turns out in July of 2023, so just a month after she ran away, Nito and her are Facebook messaging. He's like, "Why didn't you say anything to me? I can't believe you wouldn't. Like, I'm just hearing about this now." And so that ended up being really helpful.
Interesting. Any other pre-trial workup you did? You went and tried to get some character witnesses. Not so good. You got a cell phone dump with one interesting message to the brother.
You said something about your client's medical records.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
go ahead, Tirza.
No, that's okay. So the Commonwealth ended up getting his medical records. So this was this was a big thing. So
Why?
okay, so a year after she made the disclosure, she made an allegation to the police that she knew what his penis looked like because he had an oval-shaped birthmark on the bottom of his penis.
On the base?
She
Underneath.
just said the underside is what
Underside, yes, underneath.
Okay.
So they got a warrant.
This is like that old Michael Jackson trial. Do you guys remember that?
she said.
Oh
We
my
were
God.
probably, I mean,
Yeah, I was-
They're
yeah.
too young. They don't know. David, do you remember? And he got up and was like, they took pictures of my penis. Because they had to compare it to the description the kids gave.
Right, so
And
they got
an
a warrant.
Oval-shaped birthmark like underneath his sack, or like what's the
No.
bottom of the penis? Like what's the bottom of the penis?
well, they just,
The
I'll
shaft,
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
her verbatim words was there is a oval-shaped birthmark on the underside of his penis. So
Okay.
whatever that means.
Right.
Okay.
So
Go
then
ahead,
they go get the warrant and they go down to the jail and they take the photos. Very uncomfortable. We didn't. And then we get them, and there is indeed no oval-shaped birthmark on the underside of his penis. The only thing that
Nothing
we
to lie about.
very, very odd. But the other thing she had mentioned when she said that he had the oval-shaped birthmark was that she knew about his surgery. So he got a surgery on his testicle and it was removed. And so she knew he had a right scar on the right side. And so that was true. However, when they got the medical records, it was clear in there that she was at his bedside during and after the surgery. So she would have known about the surgery.
Well,
And
you
so
don't
that's
have
why
to
the
see
Commonwealth
that
got it.
either. If someone has a whole testicle removed, you would assume that there would be a surgical scar.
Correct.
They don't just
Well-
dissolve them out of the skin. Like,
It was, we weren't worried. We weren't worried about that fact going into trial because that was easy to explain. We were worried a little bit about the birthmark until we got the photos, and there was no birthmark.
And
that's such a
just real
strange thing to lie
quickly,
about.
sorry. So his testicle itself was not removed. However, what had happened was there was like a cyst
Oh,
that
right.
that,
Yep.
that had swollen to the size of a grapefruit on his right testicle.
Oh my
so that
God.
his and that's going to be a big deal later. But
Yeah, how could I miss say that?
This story.
but anyway,
Okay.
so just
A
a point of clarity.
grapefruit.
Yeah.
A grapefruit.
That's
Uh-huh.
that
Grapefruit
is-
size cyst.
Big
Grapefruits are
fucking
not
cyst.
small.
Jesus.
And you got to remember, like Tirza mentioned, she makes her first statement to the police. It was at the beginning of August of 2023, and then she waits a year, gives him another call, and goes, "Oh, by the way, there's a birthmark on the underside of his penis, and he had this huge thing on his testicle that was removed." Like, why would she wait a year to do that? So
So
Gotta
weird.
love this job. So now you have to look at photographs of your client's genitalia.
oh yeah.
Many times.
Okay.
So, all right, where do we go from here then?
Well,
yeah.
Go ahead, Tirza.
I was gonna say, well, we had the medical records, but then we also had we had her medical records, and this became a pretrial issue. So she had an STD, and she was claiming that she had gotten it from our client. However, they had never tested him for that STD, so they had no proof that he had the STD. So we
What
we did
STD?
trich, right?
Trichomonas.
Trichomoniasis.
That's one that can be cured.
Yes.
Okay. So, okay.
Is that
Right.
did that pop up originally? I mean, not the allegation of the STD. Did that Was that known at the arraignment when you first got the case, or a year later, just like the whole cyst surgery and the
How
oval
did you
shape?
get
Did that?
her medical records?
What's that?
How did you get Chantel's medical records?
The Commonwealth did.
Why?
She had informed them about the STD, I believe, so they got those.
And then-
When did she inform him of that? Like, when did that come about?
Well, so I mean, that's something that's certain, like I was mentioning, like before. That's something I didn't know until after the prelim, and the case had already been scheduled for trial, and then they turned discovery over, and there's a mention of it in the police reports, but we didn't get the medical records until later on. Like they did not turn over the medical records to us until later on.
Like around the trial, or?
Yeah.
Okay. And I assume, are you asking for medical records at this point?
What do
Do
you
know?
mean?
Do you know they have? There's a mention of an STD in the police report. That's a supplemental report that happened about a year into the case. In that moment, do you ask for more information? Are you asking for records? Like, what's your plan of action with that information?
I can't specifically remember. I'm not sure if they had reached out to me and said, this is something that we're going to do. But like discovery in this case, and in a lot of cases, was like piecemeal. Here's the original stuff, and then it kind of filters in. So that was one of those that did filter in, and until I had it, like you get that news, and it's like, oh shit, that might be a problem. And it wasn't, Tirza was like, we have to file a motion in limine about that. And I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. So we end up doing that.
Your
And
client
again,
was never diagnosed or never tested for this STD?
to my knowledge, never diagnosed. Certainly never tested. And the thing was, so the Commonwealth ended up getting a search warrant for his medical records based on the statement that about the surgery and the birthmark. But we wanted to get him anyway, for the same reason, right? Because he had once we did obtain his medical records, he goes to the doctor in August of 2022, driven by his niece, and he's explaining to the doctor, okay, like this has gotten to a point. I have this growth on my testicle that's so big and so painful, like I can't even wear underwear anymore. We need to do something about this. And obviously we wanted that because, poking the hole in their story. So the guy who has a grapefruit hanging off of his testicle that's in so much pain that he can't even wear underwear anymore, this is the guy that's raping his niece every other day for 6 years? Like, come on. So we ended up getting those medical
He didn't
records.
have any Viagra prescriptions or anything, did he?
He did.
Oh, well, okay. All right.
He did.
Yeah, he did.
Well, the grapefruit was weighing him down, so
Big time. And
he
it was
needed
hurting
a little help.
Yeah.
Was there any evidence of sexual activity on her cell phone?
Yeah.
Like with the boyfriend?
Right. And so, like, there was nothing like pornographic, but she had this boyfriend that she worked with. She had a couple different jobs over the course of a couple different years. She's in high school, so it's like Chipotle. There was like one at a local like fish market. But she had met this guy, and they were communicating via Snapchat voluminously. And there was at one point where they had made a plan that this Saturday we're going to have sex. Was unclear whether that actually happened. And then there was also like, oh, I have a surprise for you. What's that? And then a horse emoji and a rooster emoji. So I was, talking. So when I told the DAs, like, look, we might be talking about horse cocks. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, you'll see.
It's your evidence. Go through it, okay?
Right. But that's the thing. Like with the motion in limine, like we're asking to keep the STD out, but at the same time that I filed that, we also filed like a provisional rape shield motion, because if you let this in, then I'm going to get to question her about all this shit I found on her phone, all the other sexual partners, and they ended up. I can't say why they abandoned trying to get the medical records in. I think that may have had something to do with it, though. So.
Well, it
Anything else
doesn't
in
look
terms?
great for her that she has an STD and your client. I would assume if he was going in for a medical procedure on something with his testicles that they would have tested to figure out if there was another reason why he was developing this medical condition. If your client didn't have the STD and your client does, it just doesn't look great.
Right.
Yeah.
So, all right. Anything else we want to talk about before we get to the trial? Any other like pre-trial work, discovery, interviews, things that may have popped up?
Yeah, I think we should talk about him getting out of jail right before the
Duh.
the trial started.
Hey,
Wait,
that's
before you do
big.
that, I want to go
Yeah.
back to the Viagra.
Hmm.
Did the prosecutor want to discuss anything with your client being on Viagra?
They did.
Go ahead, Tirza.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, they discussed it during trial.
Okay.
We didn't talk about it really beforehand or anything like that. But they did use it. We thought about using it for our benefit and then decided that wasn't going to work. So we weren't sure if they were going to bring it up, but they definitely did.
Did your
Right.
client have any partners, girlfriends, boyfriends, sexual
Age
partners?
appropriate partners?
That's the only type he ever had.
All right.
But yes, he was during the, from if we're talking specifically about the period between 2017 and 2023. Yes, he had multiple. I mean, his ex-wife wasn't the ex-wife at the time, or even if they were, she had talked to police. There was several instances that they were having sex. He also was seeing a neighbor, and he wanted us to interview the neighbor because he was going to say, she was going to say, well, we tried to be sexual multiple times. He wanted everyone to say he couldn't
He
get
had
an erection.
ED. Yeah.
And then I was like, but dude, for the last 2 years, you're getting Cialis, Viagra, like you have both of them. And he was like, well, it didn't work. I was selling them. I'm like, okay, we're not going to have you testify.
I was-
Yeah, so
that's-
using
that's
it to our
such a
benefit
common-
was not a good.
Well, this job's amazing.
That's
Yes.
such a common experience with our clients.
My
You're
defense
selling.
is I didn't commit this crime. I was committing a different one.
I'm
Yep.
selling. Great.
Always.
Yeah. Okay, so your client's saying he's not able to get an erection, and even though he has these medications to help him in that regard, he was just selling them, and he wanted you to interview these women he was dating but not having sex with to tell you how unsatisfied they were.
I
Yeah.
I can't I don't want to say this. I don't want to say this, but I'm gonna have to
Let it rip.
because women his own age don't get him excited.
That's, yep. When Ben and I
David Moore for the
discussed,
people.
when Ben and I discussed this possible avenue, Ben immediately was like, I know the DA is going to get up there and say exactly that. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right. We should probably not do that. So we didn't.
Wait, were you able to speak to Chantel or your investigators before trial?
No, I mean, we didn't even. I'm not sure that we ever tried. But like, there was nothing that would have entitled us to. But we did not.
Okay. Sorry,
right.
you wanted to talk about him getting out of custody.
Yes, tell us about
Yeah.
that.
So this is awesome. So his bail had been denied, since the inception, and with with the current allegations plus the voluntary and the first degree burglary, I was very pessimistic the whole time. And I had communicated that to him. I'm like, look, man, there's no judge that's going to let you out of jail. That's it. That's what it is. Okay. Now there's a rule of criminal procedure in Pennsylvania that says if you are held in pretrial incarceration for longer than 6 months, you are entitled to nominal bail, unless you're unbailable for a different reason. And unbailable for a different reason would include, like, you're a danger to the community, look at your record, look at these current charges.
Like a voluntary manslaughter.
Yeah, correct. And so now so I said it's 6 months pretrial incarceration, but any type of delay that is caused by the defendant doesn't count towards that calculation. So I mentioned earlier we had continued the case once to get his medical records, and so that extended the amount of time. But there came a point in I think like mid-April of this year, that all the calculation, 180 days he was entitled to nominal bail, and the guy had been great. Like by this time I had seen him like 15 times in jail. So like we're like I like the guy, and I'm like, you know what? I'll file this motion. I got to tell you, it's not going to work, but like fuck it, we'll file it anyway. What can it hurt? And so I filed like a very bare bones. 180th day passed on this day. He was arrested on this day. 180th day passed on this. Let him out. Put him on house arrest if you want. And I'm thinking the judge is just going to look and laugh at me. But he's sitting there and he's like looking very contemplative. And he goes, well, this is the judge. Mr. Jackson, how can I determine if there's a way to keep the community safe if you haven't even given me an address? And I'm thinking, like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you're gonna let this guy out? And so I was like, well, Judge, he has his own house. He still has it. He goes, well, you should file an amended motion. So I went right back to the office, and I filed an amended motion that just had the address that he was going to. And later on that week, I think that was a Wednesday when I filed the amended motion, he files the order. He's getting out of jail. Now, so that's great. I couldn't fucking believe it. But
House arrest?
yes,
On
on
house
house
arrest?
arrest. Yeah, on house arrest. So a stepdaughter of his finds out that he's getting out of jail, and Tirza actually, I want to let Tirza jump in now because she actually went to high school with his stepdaughter. So we got some information. Go ahead, Tirza.
Jesus, how big is Allegheny County?
Not that
Or
big.
small, I should say.
And it was crazy because I had no idea. All I see is I go on Instagram one day and I see her post something about one of our judges. And she's basically like, this judge is letting pedophiles out on the street on her Instagram story. And then the next story names our client. And I'm like, oh shit. I had no idea that this was his stepdaughter, so I immediately text Ben. I'm screenshotting everything. I'm sending it to him. But she's posting all these crazy things. She ends up changing the judge's Wikipedia page to say, the Wikipedia says this is the judge and when he started, and then it goes on to be like, and he went on to let pedophiles out on the street because he doesn't read case files. And then she DMs him on Facebook.
The judge.
Yes, the judge on Facebook, and says all these crazy things. So then the judge calls everybody in. It was a whole thing.
Did she
was very upset.
on the Wikipedia page, did she say, even the defense attorney was shocked he got out?
She, she didn't, but
She should have.
and so like her Instagram stories were tagging the news, like Tirza said, the Wikipedia stuff. The judge did call us in for a conference. He didn't know about the Wikipedia page. He just knew that she had left a message at the chambers. She had DM'd him at 3 a.m. On Facebook. Judge, you're a monster. You're the reason rape victims don't come forward. You need to recuse yourself. This is bullshit. All that type of stuff. So I'm sitting there listening, and I'm like, well, Judge, and that's not even, we haven't even talked about the Wikipedia page yet. And he had no idea. And you got like this particular judge is like usually very mild mannered, and he didn't raise his voice, but the look on his face, he was just incensed. He was just like, what? And he's like talking to his clerk, pull that up. And now it had already been changed back, but I was like, oh, Judge, look, there's a screenshot right here.
So I know we're laughing about this.
Yeah.
But do we have reason to be concerned about the stepdaughter?
No,
as
that's
an adverse witness or someone with any knowledge?
Not for this case, no.
I'm just gonna leave that. Not for this case. Got it.
Sorry for another time.
Okay.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that this is the type of public scrutiny people get when a judge does actually makes a good call for getting someone out of custody pre-trial incarceration. He's presumed innocent. He wasn't convicted of actually doing it. He hasn't more people should be getting out of jail, but there's just like this sort of tough on crime, public safety aspect that just any sort of decision, any one wrong decision, and the bench gets hammered all the time. But but no one ever really cares about the other end of it, where people are languishing in jail, they're languishing in prison. There's innocent people in jail. There's innocent people in prison, but no one ever gets dinged for making the wrong call that keeps innocent people locked up. There's not
Yeah,
that.
and
There's not
For
that
sure.
aspect. That's not on Wikipedia.
no,
Right.
and you know,
It's not-
the judge who let him out is one of the best judges in this county when it comes to bail. Like he's very fair. And just to put a bow on the getting out of jail thing, so he puts him on house arrest, and he tells him,
I was
"You-
just about to toot your horn for this.
all right, well then I'll let you take it."
I was gonna slip it in before. Um,
That's what she said.
I yeah.
Knew that was coming.
I can't help
I
it. It's how this case just begs for this.
I knew I was gonna say something at some point that would, but even though the judge let him out of jail, he would not allow like any windows for literally anything. So Ben had filed all these motions asking for him to be able to go get groceries, for him to be able to go to doctor's appointments, and the judge was like, no,
No, die. You
just
die
not
alone.
doing. Yeah, like I let you out of jail, but no, you cannot eat food. So Ben went grocery shopping for the client, dropped all the food off, filed all these crazy motions just to get him a doctor appointment. He did all of the work for that, and it was really great.
Ben,
Full service public defender, Ben. That
That's
is
right.
holistic justice right there.
what kind of groceries are you buying? Are you making sure he eats
Oh,
healthy?
man.
You making sure he eats healthy? Feel like
No.
your cholesterol was up. All right, no, I'm sorry. You're going to eat these greens. I'm not leaving until you eat all those
Listen.
vegetables. I need you healthy for trial.
I
You know,
gotta
you got,
say,
you got acid reflux. No more fried chicken. You know, like what?
well, it's fun. I'm actually glad you asked that because I was like, look, man, because the judge was giving me shit. He's like, can't he just do Instacart? I'm like, he doesn't have a cell phone.
Instacart.
Um,
It's
you know,
fucking expensive.
It's so
all right.
expensive.
Right.
It's-
And he's like,
Yeah,
well,
like our
can't he,
clients can afford that.
and then he's like, well, can't he just like order it on the phone? And I was like, I don't think so, but I guess I'll try. So I called like every fucking grocery store within a 5 mile radius, and they're all like, hey, buddy, like download Instacart. And I'm like, okay, that's great. But anyway, so when I'm going shopping for him, I'm like, you just tell me what you need. And I'm thinking he's gonna ask for Staples. I wish I had the list in front of me somewhere.
But yes, for
But-
vodka.
No, he didn't. I didn't get him any vodka until after the trial. But he was like, all right, I need 4 pounds of lamb, 4 pounds of steaks. Like I don't know if you guys see any of the Tim Robbins and stuff, but it was basically I brought him a paper bag with 15 pounds of various meats, and that's all he wanted. And he didn't ask me to do it again for him either.
Low
So-
carb.
Yeah,
He
the
was
paleo
getting in
diet,
shape
right?
for he got hit on his suit when he goes in front of the jury.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
It was
It was
truly
wild.
great to see.
Well, that's good for you, Ben. Good for you.
Seriously. That's
Yeah,
what these
well,
young
thank you.
public defenders do. David and I are like, oh, good luck. I got
luck with
you
your
out.
groceries.
Good luck.
It's the COVID public defenders understand the need of keeping people in their homes and delivering
Yeah.
food to them. So
Yeah.
Exactly.
Way to go, young guys.
We get it.
all right, cool. Well, that's great. That's such a relief. You know, people are much more healthy and much better able and much more equipped to fighting their cases if they're out of custody. The statistics
And
show it.
eating.
And eating, so
Yeah.
normal food.
Yeah.
All right, so then are we ready to talk about the trial then, or is there anything else we want to get into before the trial?
I think we're
Let's
good.
go to trial.
All right.
Get that 12 in a box.
Okay, cool. Nice. All right, so then the prosecutor of this particular case, have you been working with this prosecutor the whole time?
Yeah, I mean, he has been employed at the DA's office ever since I started in 2019.
Okay.
Oh, another young one, though.
Well, you know, he's older, but I'm just saying
Oh.
ever since I've been here, he's there. He mentioned that he was the oldest. I think he's 46. He mentioned that I feel like at some point during the trial. Very weird shit coming up. So
Okay. And then
There was never any discussion about a plea bargain, right? Your client didn't want to plead to anything?
client didn't want to plead to anything. They offered him 10 to 20 years, and you know, obviously, I got to go talk to him about it.
Right.
And that was a very quick conversation.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Okay.
okay. All right, and then what about the judge? Anything about the judge? Oh, you said this judge let him out. Is this the same judge that's doing the trial?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
It's got to be. They already said Allegheny County is very, very
Yeah.
small.
And then, so Ben and Tirza's on the case at this point. We didn't talk about when she got on the case, but that's okay. So then, have you guys talked about how you're going to divvy up the trial and who's going to be in charge of what?
We're just gonna let it rip, man.
Okay, just going to let it rip. All right. Because I
No,
feel like if I've never had co-counsel, but I always feel like to me, like the beginning of the trial is so important. I think voir dire is not something that's natural, so you really got to think about it, right? And then usually the first witness in the case is the alleged victim, and so your cross-examination of that is really important. Everything else kind of, in my opinion, kind of trickles down from there. So it's like the two big things are up in the beginning, which require the most prep. So I always think about like if I had co-counsel, it would be one for jury trial, one for the cross-examination of the main witness. But that's how
well,
I would
that's how
roll.
that's how it ended up. I mean,
Yeah.
Tirza wrote the cross of the victim, which ended up being one of the most important parts of the
Yeah.
case. And we did split during voir dire. She Tirza put I think 3 or 4 jurors on the jury as well, and they were good ones.
Okay, let's talk about voir dire then. So Tirza handled some of the voir dire, and Ben,
What
you
about
handled
motions
other.
in limine?
Oh yeah, there you go. Thank you, Lauren.
Yeah.
Any motions in limine?
Well, we filed the one with the SCD and said in the alternative we're going to file a rape shield motion, but then the Commonwealth ended up on the day of trial just saying, okay, we're not going to bring up the SCD. We have no idea why. I really don't
This
know
is the
why they
CD of
decided to do that.
Chantel's phone records.
The STD, the sexually
STD.
transmitted.
Oh, I thought you said CD. Okay.
Oh, sorry. In Pittsburgh we don't enunciate things, so that was probably
Okay.
probably my bad.
Okay.
STD.
Okay.
So yeah, the Commonwealth came on the day of trial and said we're not going to bring the evidence of that. So we just ended up not having to argue it,
And
which
I
was great.
assume you tried to exclude your client's Viagra and Cialis prescriptions.
No.
No.
No, and the reason was because we wanted his medical records in. I guess I didn't think about like just asking them to redact the prescriptions, but like we wanted the medical records were full of he had this huge thing,
Grapefruit.
grapefruit-sized thing hanging off of his testicle, and so we wanted that in there because that was part of the defense.
Okay. Any other like major motions in limine then?
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Exclude his record if he testifies.
Well,
We yeah.
he wasn't. He was very on the fence. I didn't. They weren't going to be like at least in my experience. I told him like, look, if you testify, you can whatever you do, just don't say like I'm a good guy. I would never do something like this, or I'm not violent, because I was like, if these people hear about your record, like we're cooked, bro. So, um,
Okay.
yeah.
Well then let's move on to voir dire and then jury selection. What's the game plan here for jury selection?
Go ahead, Tirza.
So we were talking about this beforehand. I think our main goal in jury selection was to try to get as many men as possible, try to limit the amount of women, but
Why?
also just I believe we both believe in general that men are better on these kind of cases, that they can put themselves in our clients' shoes. They know that they could at any time be accused of something like this.
They're the
And
ones
with
screaming false accusations ruin lives, David. Don't you
exactly.
remember Kavanaugh's confirmation hearings? False accusations ruin lives. He has a family, okay?
Exactly. Exactly. And women are more on the Me Too movement side of things that we all know so well. So that is generally, I think on sex assault cases in general, we try to get as many men as we can. And then my other goal, kind of going off of that, was to get, if there were any moms on the jury, I did not want any moms of daughters. I wanted moms of sons.
Oh.
Again, because they can put themselves in our clients' shoes, that their sons could be accused of something like this. If they have daughters, they're going to think, oh, my daughter could be in Chantel's shoes. So we actually were able to do that, shockingly. We've never been able to do that before, but we had no moms of daughters.
Not that
And
you
we
did any Batson Wheeler violations, excluding the
Correct.
ones
Oh, yeah,
against
no,
women.
no,
I
never,
know you
never.
were completely above board in your exercising of peremptory challenges.
Of
100%.
course.
Can you
Always.
can you give us a taste of the questioning, like how you asked questions and stuff like that? Like what were the topics you were bringing up in voir dire?
We're very limited in
Okay.
Pennsylvania. We are very limited to the form that we or the questionnaire that we give jurors. So we're not really allowed to go into a lot. I mean, obviously we can ask about their children, their spouse, and that kind of thing as general background and their jobs. But we're really not allowed to get into too much. And then we go in the questionnaire, and we did have some additional questions that we asked related to the case for this one.
Okay. Any interesting interactions with jurors or memorable ones that you want to talk about?
Well, there was so, you know, there's a room full of people. Like I don't know how jury selection is done in LA or in California, and it's even different in the counties in Pennsylvania. But basically, what we interview the jurors like one at a time. They all submit a questionnaire, and then they come up and talk about their questionnaire one at a time. So and at the very beginning, they're reading out the charges, and again, 27 count information, child sex assault, and it's like people are just like, why the fuck did I have to be called to today?
It took him 15 minutes just to read through the charges.
Exactly. But
your client's just sitting there taking the heat from the jurors too, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah. Just
and,
like
well,
you're right there next to him. Just everyone's just glaring at you.
Yeah, and it's always interesting because Tirza and I are like scanning around there because we have a list of all the jurors and their names, right? And so it's like as they're reading the charges, you got to scan around to see like who's making the most disgusted faces, like kind of gauge people. And that's always crazy because you can only see so many of them. But
I mean, you had time this time at least.
Yeah, we did.
It wasn't quick.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, but there was. I'm sorry, I kind of forgot what I was.
Okay, I know. We were all just chatting away. Yeah. So yeah, any memorable moments? Yeah.
Yeah, there was a few, man. Like one of the additional questions that we tended to ask first when people got up there was like, would the nature of the charges bias you in any way such that you couldn't reach a fair verdict? There was three, and so we had a sheet of paper in front of us, and there was several women who I was just like, good morning, this and that, whatever. And then I would start asking that question. I swear, like three people before I was halfway through it, three women just started like crying, and I was like, "Oh my!" And they only cried when I asked them, so I don't know what the hell I was doing.
That's about when we switched.
But yeah, I mean, I think just the one other notable one for me was there was a woman who like had a great questionnaire. She's looking like. We are thinking we might want her. She was like, she had written down on her form that she was like a risk analyst. And I asked her, like, what does that mean? Like something very basic. And it's a 5-minute soliloquy. Like I'm trying to break it up because like, okay, we get it. But she went on this 5-minute speech about what she does, and she's very analytical, and she can do this and that. And I was like, we want her, and she's going to be the foreperson. And that ended up being true.
Okay, so we're okay with having women on your jury, okay? And you're not excluding women. All right, no bats and Wheeler here. Okay.
No.
No.
We also, I think
Just
I would
not
say that
fun
overall,
risk analyst, very by the book. She's allowed to say.
I think we have 4 total, right?
yeah. We had some. But I think the most memorable part of jury selection in general is that it was so long. I mean, we took 2.5 days to pick the jury, and at one point the judge had to come down. He was not angry, but he was just like, I've done so many of these, and it has never gone on this long. What is going on? And we were all like, people just keep saying they can't be fair. I don't know. It's not any of our faults. But it just took so long to pick that jury.
So you got your 12 and 2 alternates?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Now
So
it's time for opening.
Yeah, time for opening statements. I had written something the night before, and I kind of hated it. I was like, because I think we ended up breaking for lunch, and then we opened like after. I can't remember, but I just remember talking with Tirza, and I told her, I was like, yeah, I don't know if I like it. And she was just like, so are we gonna fix it? I was like, yeah, we should fix it. And so I gave a practice run to her, and she gave me a few pointers. The DA's opening statement was probably their the best part of their case, and it was all downhill after that. Because this guy has been doing these cases specifically for quite some time. So when
Is
he
he a
doesn't
sex
have to,
crimes prosecutor?
yeah, and so when he doesn't have to when he can just give the opening that he's been giving for so long, like it was good. It was a good opening. And so it's always strange. You got to pick like a tone to go after him because it's like he's just up there, this poor girl, this and that, and so I just decided to kind of turn the anger on, and like from step one, it was like you know he's not guilty for two reasons. One, because the judge is going to tell, like he just told you, got to presume him innocent. But second, and most importantly, none of this ever happened, and just kind of went into it that way. Um, it kind of broke down the difference between like we're in a court of law. This is not the court of public opinion. It's like this is not. If your friend came up to you on the like if your best friend told you something like this, like your job is not to say, well, I presume that didn't happen, and in fact, I will never change my mind unless you prove it to me beyond a reasonable doubt. Like, but now we're asking you to be those hypothetical weirdos. So, pay attention to what you hear, but especially what you don't hear.
Okay, I like it. It's good. All right, so let's talk about the evidence. How's it roll out for the people? Who do they put up?
Go ahead, Tirza.
We put up Chantel first.
Okay.
And I did want to mention, like, before we went into openings, we kind of didn't know exactly what to say in the opening because we didn't have that many inconsistencies in her statement prior. But we got very lucky with how inconsistent she was on the stand with her prior testimony. So Ben did a great job in opening, but it was hard because we were like, we don't know how much we want to rely on how inconsistent she might be, because what if she's not? Some of the stuff that we had wasn't super inconsistent beforehand, but she was very, very inconsistent with her prior testimony on
Like
the stand.
how?
So she testified, and we had, oh my gosh, I had sticky notes that every time something was inconsistent, I was on her preliminary hearing testimony or on her police report, and I was trying to put sticky notes everywhere that was inconsistent, and there were so many. And at the end of her direct examination, it was almost the end of the day, and so we thought that we were going to be done and that we could cross tomorrow, but the judge was like, okay, Mr. Jackson, and I was panicked. I was like, I can't do all these sticky notes. We have to ask for a break. And Ben was so calm. He was like, it's okay. It's all right. I got it. And I was like, okay, in full panic mode. But then the judge eventually finally was like, oh, actually, we're very near the end of the day, so we'll give you until tomorrow to cross-examine.
Yeah, cool on the outside. I was like, oh shit. I'm gonna have to. So, because I had taken so many notes too, and so when the judge was like, "Okay, go ahead," I very slowly like just started flipping back
Slowly.
through all the pages of notes, and like honestly, probably 15 seconds into it, he goes, "Okay, counsel up here," and he was like, "Are you like?" I'm like, "Well, Judge, actually, it'd be cool if we could do it tomorrow." He's like, "Okay, fine."
We should go with that.
I was like, I can't gather all these sticky notes right now. So we stayed at the office until like 8:30 p.m. just going through all of them, and thank God we had that time because there was just so much that we had to get through.
So then, like, what was she kind of like inconsistent about? Like, what was she saying? What were the new stuff she was bringing up in her testimony?
Well, the biggest thing was, well, there's a few, but I think the most important part was, on direct, she was very clear that the first instance of vaginal intercourse was at the third house that they had lived in. She was 100% clear. At the prelim, she had testified that the house directly before that one it actually happened over 3 times, vaginal intercourse. So that was absolutely huge because she was clear that once she moved out of house number 2, then she went to house number 3 and she never went back there. And she was on direct saying the first time this ever happened was at house 3. But on the record at the prelim, she's saying it happened all these times at house 2.
What's great about the fact that you did that going back to prelim too is that because she was only 11 when this all allegedly started, and because so much time had passed, it's easy for the DA to excuse mistakes in the timeline.
Yep.
But if you're tying the memory to a location, then you can, and since you have that timeline of when they moved, then you know approximately how old she is, and you know there's no way that it happened back then. So
Right.
that was
Exactly.
a really smart move.
And one of the best things about that point was that the DA on redirect tried to save her. And so he actually ended up impeaching his own witness, which was the most beautiful thing ever. um, but he tried to say, well, maybe once you moved into house 3, sometimes you'd go back to house 1 or house 2. And she was like, no, once we moved into house 3, we were in house 3 and that was it. And he started trying to get her. He was like, okay, but you did testify at the preliminary hearing that, at house 1, there was vaginal intercourse. And she's like, yes. And he shows her testimony and she's like, yes, I said that. And then he's like, so was there ever vaginal intercourse at house 1? And she was like, no.
Oh
and
no.
it was just, Ben and I looked at each other and we were like, what is he doing? What just happened? And it was amazing, and and he just quickly moved on. He acted like he never did that and he never said that and moved on to the next question.
So at this point, Chantel is what, 20?
19.
Okay. And what was her demeanor like on the stand?
Yeah, well, that's a really good question. She came off like very detached, very clinical. Like did not, one of the most composed alleged sexual assault victims that I have ever seen. Like almost like she was like reading off of something. It was, and not only that, like there was no emotion. She never cried. She's like every time the DA asked a question, like she would, not every time, but frequently, she would kind of trail off at the end and be like, "Was that what you want? Could you re-ask the
Oh.
question?" Like a lot, and like always looking to him for cues. And even when she said to re-ask the question, which she did so many times, the DA wouldn't just do that. He would like then it'd be leading. I objected. I let him go a little bit. You don't want to piss the jury off too
Right.
much, but it's like it was so many leading questions. I mean, by the third or fourth one, the judge is like just sustaining him. The judge is smirking. There's one juror in particular who like already thinks the DA is a clown. But she came off.
So she's
I don't know if robotic's the right
Robot.
word, but
I was about to say our coworkers who came and watched the trial all described her as robotic, because that's how it was.
do you think she was coached by the DA, or they had practiced her testimony at least with the detective or whatever? Is that
100%. They had definitely practiced it because, like we were mentioning a little bit earlier, there was 4 houses that they lived in, and obviously it was 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4. And so the DA, like at the very beginning of his direct examination, goes through the houses, but he skips one. Not only does he skip anyone, he skips the very first house that they lived at. And he goes, okay, so that's all the places that you lived at, right? Like this was totally rehearsed. And she goes, oh no, you missed a spot. And he's like, oh. And then instantly you get, oh, here's a photo that we had ready to go for it. And it's like, this guy's been doing this for, a decade and a half probably. You're not going to forget the first place where someone alleged this. So I hit that in closing again. And I remember the risk analyst juror like shot arrows with her eyes at Ken once I brought that up in closing. But yeah, I think it was rehearsed.
For sure.
all right?
And
So go ahead, Tirza. Go.
I was just gonna say we'll get to this kind of later when we talk about closings, but right behind us in this office right now we have what we call Chantel's lie board, which we wrote all of her inconsistencies and lies in closing. So there were 12 huge inconsistencies in her story that she changed from preliminary hearing under oath until trial under oath, that we got to impeach her with. So that was huge. But I wanted Ben to bring up one of the other biggest ones. There were 12, but there was one biggest one that Ben thought we were going to win on alone.
So yeah, and all right. So this is where I know in the questionnaire I told you to ask us about the toes. So here come the toes.
Did you
now.
say toes?
I said toes. So in
The
the
toes.
in the police report, and there's one lead detective on this who had done honestly a huge amount of work on the case. Um, but she wrote down that Chantel, among all this other stuff that she had disclosed, Chantel told the detective that our client was sticking his toes in her.
In her
And
where?
Oh
in
no! Please don't answer that question. Oh
In
my
her
you know
god.
in her vagina?
yes,
Okay.
and her anus.
And her
Um,
anus. Okay. Both.
well,
Okay.
and that is it's very clear in the police reports that she said that. And
Ugh.
while I'm crossing Chantel, um, most of the inconsistencies, she was just like, "Oh yeah, I said that." Like, not even. I think sometimes she didn't even realize what she was saying yes to. But then when I asked her, I was like, "Okay, so yesterday you were clear that it was these parts of his body that penetrated you. Yes, and that's it, right? Yes." And I go, "So why in the world did you tell the detective that he was sticking his toes in you?" And she was like horrified by. Oh my, I never said that. I was like, okay. And then the detective gets on the stand next, and I'm like, detective, she told you that he was sticking his toes in her, right? She's like, oh yeah, she said that. And so during closing, like Tirza said, we have it's this big poster board. It's like a bigger legal pad, right? And Tirza is, as I'm going through them, she's writing down line number 1 through line number 12. And line number 11 is just all caps, toes with 2 question marks, because it was just like, why in the world would you say something like that? Like you've made up so many versions that now you can't remember what you said.
And why would a detective put that in their report if it wasn't what she said?
Yeah.
Ew.
Crazy.
When
I
you
want to make a toe jam joke, right?
Yeah,
no,
man.
don't.
It's dumb.
Please don't. I can't. I can't. There's only so much we can handle with this. Really. Oh. Did you ask her on cross-examination about the birthmark she claimed was there?
I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't.
that's lie number 12.
Well, so I'm not sure if I just pointed out that she was there during the surgery. Like when they introduced, and she was like, "Yeah, I was there for the surgery." I did not. I think I asked her like, "Well, the first time you ever said anything to," I guess I did cross-examine a little bit,
Yeah, you
not
did.
about the birthmark specifically, but I said, the first time you ever talked to police about any of this was August 1st, 2023. That's right. Um, but you waited a whole year to tell detectives about, this birthmark and the scarring. She was just like, yeah. And I didn't want to fuck with her too much about it because they were going to introduce the pictures, and the pictures just so clearly show that it's not an oval-shaped birthmark. But this is important because on direct, instead of saying that yes, there's an oval-shaped birthmark on the underside of her penis, she doesn't say that at all. She says, "Oh, there's a slight discoloration near the tip." So that's changed. And guess what? The pictures that they submitted to the jury, you can't even see the tip of his penis. So it's like so many. And then we went over in closing again too, but it's like, okay, so she says there's an oval-shaped birthmark, then they take pictures where there's not one, and then she says something completely different at trial. So it's like, what do we all think is going on here?
Yeah. She's like, oh, it's off camera.
Yeah, right,
Like,
exactly.
yeah, you're gonna say, oh, it's discoloration tip, and they're not gonna take a picture of the tip. Yeah, they
Hmm.
wouldn't. So
Exactly.
Right. It was clear that she was shown the picture and/or the Commonwealth talked to her about it and said, "Listen, there's not an oval-shaped birthmark there," and so she changed
yeah.
her testimony at trial
Maybe
to
you could
go with
only
that.
see it when he was erect.
Maybe.
Maybe,
Any,
but there certainly was no oval-shaped birthmark.
any other nuggets with cross examination of Chantel or Tirza? You did most of the cross, right? Anything you want to share?
I'm trying to think. I don't think there was anything else huge that comes to mind. Oh my gosh. I need to stop talking.
That's what she said again.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So next
Okay.
is the detective.
Okay. Well, okay.
No,
Well,
actually, Nito went next.
Okay, yeah. Who happened? Well, who testified next? Nito. Okay.
Yeah, I think Ben was just saying the detective came later. Um, but
Come on, Tirza.
it's just everything I say now.
Come on, Tirza. Oh gosh. Okay, so Nito.
This is a professional podcast.
Sorry.
Okay.
Professional setting. Sorry.
Very
Okay.
professional.
I'm wearing a tie.
Sorry.
I'm wearing a tie. Okay.
I'll keep myself together. I apologize. I
Okay.
apologize.
So Nito comes in.
Nito was next,
And
and
he was a
Nito,
prosecution witness.
yes, and he, I think, made our case so much better.
So a prosecution witness in name only.
Right. Yes, for sure. He came off very poorly and clearly lied about a lot of things. But our big thing with Nito was that we didn't really paint him as a villain. We painted him more as a brother who believed his sister and was making up lies to help her case because he believes her.
What's the essence of his testimony?
Yeah,
though?
what lies?
Right.
So
Yeah.
go ahead, Tirza.
No, go ahead.
All right. So Chantel at trial had mentioned like, well, I told Nito about this the first day any of this ever happened, all the way back in 2017, something that she had never said to the police before. And so Nito then comes in and is like, yeah, that she did tell me that. But Nito also gave a statement to the police, and he actually said it was actually 2 weeks after the first time that she ever told me. Now that's what he said to the police, and I go, well, wait a minute.
But you had that message.
Well, I had that one too. Now, so when I'm trying to impeach him first about what he told the police, I'm like, well, didn't you tell Detective so-and-so this? And he goes, no, I didn't. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, you gave a statement to Detective so-and-so, and I have the fucking thing in my hand. He goes, I never gave a statement to police. It's like, okay, that's great, man, because she's coming up next. Yeah, and so I just kind of moved on because knowing that the detective's going to come in and hammer him. So the next thing that I asked him about, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought again.
Nito.
You were talking the message, the Facebook message.
Oh yeah, the Facebook message. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I know where you're going.
Okay, so
We got you, Ben.
Thank you. Someone has to because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So the Facebook message, I just asked him straight up. I was like, okay, do you remember a Facebook conversation that you had? This is after he said, yeah, she told me one day ago, or the same day that it happened. I go, okay, well, do you remember a Facebook conversation? Or I think I said a social media because I really wasn't sure what it was, but it was like a DM, right? And I was like, do you remember that? And he goes, I mean, I kinda, but like I don't remember what was said. I go, okay, well if I show you a copy of it, would it refresh your recollection? He's like, yeah. And so I show it to him, and he reads it, and it's very clear. Like the conversation between them was, he's messaging her. He goes, take that post down. And then she's pissed. She was like, no, you can't tell me what to do, this and that. And he goes, I'm your fucking brother. Why wouldn't you say anything to me? And I was like, you agree that you said that? And he goes, yeah, I did. And then the DA gets up on redirect. She's like, well, that's what you said, but like, what did you really mean? He's like, well, I meant like, why didn't you tell me sooner? And because what happened was I had actually forgot that she ever said anything to me about, like, he was just up there. It was, the kid was, dude was stressed.
What was the post? What post what did post did Chantel make?
Well, that's the thing. It must have been deleted. That was not on the phone. The conversation regarding the post was on the phone, but we don't know. But it was clear that it was about that, or at least, I mean, that's what we insinuated, and that's where he went with it. So.
And when did this conversation occur?
This happened about a month. So she discloses middle of June 2023. This was mid July of 2023.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that's supposedly in context to him having been previously told that back in 2017.
Right, exactly.
And,
exactly.
Yeah.
And then she actually, at trial, when she got caught in a lie, had made up that she also told him another time a couple years later in maybe 2020 around when the vaginal intercourse started. Because she got caught in a lie with one of her impeachments. So she was like, oh, I actually told Nito a second time too, that time, and it was later. And Nito said that never happened. He was never told a second time. He was only told a first time.
So basically, what you needed to get out of Nito was that she didn't actually tell him, and it was just more inconsistencies in her story.
Right.
Because he didn't have any firsthand knowledge. He didn't say that he saw anything inappropriate or he knew anything
Oh my gosh.
happening, or he didn't have any reason to report anything, right?
Correct, but we did not talk about the raspberries.
In the trial or in this podcast?
This podcast, which was like a huge thing at trial.
I'm so afraid to ask what after the toes. I'm really
I know.
What?
Yeah, right? This trial went sideways real quick. But no, this was just that the first time she says that anything ever happened when they first moved into the house, she said that her and Nito were blowing raspberries on each other's stomachs.
Yeah,
And they're 11 and 12 years. They're 11 and 12 years old at this point.
Raspberries on the stomach. You do that, right? Yeah. Okay.
These kids are blowing raspberries
Yeah.
on each other's stomach. These are the same kids that reportedly were forced to have sex with each other at Bio
Exactly.
Dad's house, and now they're 11
Exactly.
and 12 years old, and they're hanging out, blowing raspberries on each other's stomachs.
In the
Sure,
brother's
sure.
bed.
In the brother's bed, and they
No, nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, we don't
No.
need to make blowing raspberries a thing. All right, I give raspberries to my daughter sometimes. All right,
It's a- I mean,
you don't need to make this
it's
weird.
a really different
Okay.
scenario.
And she tries to do it back to me, but she can't because she's only 5.
Yeah.
And I have
because
a
5
hairy,
is a normal age to do that.
I have a hairy stomach, so it's not it's not that fun for her.
So much
Yeah.
coming out in this podcast.
Yeah. So it was just Nito also said the same thing, and they both said it as, we were just blowing raspberries on each other's stomach, and it was very innocent. And then
This
Uncle
is
Dan
happening
came.
on the stand at trial. They're
Yes.
talking about blowing raspberries on each other's stomach while
Sure.
laying in the brother's bed.
Yes,
in
and
front of
Nito
the jury.
actually. Yes, and Nito actually called it motor boning on the stand.
Oh man.
No, no.
Motor boating?
Oh. No.
Yeah.
Was that on direct? On direct,
Yes.
he said
Yes.
motor boating. Motor
He did.
boating.
No.
And then the prosecutor had to ask
Why
what that
did
meant,
this
right?
even come up? I don't understand why was this even talked about.
It's
Well,
gonna-
Because it was the first incident.
So, because
Okay.
to tie it all back together, because the way Chantel told the story was, we're, blowing raspberries on each other one day in Nito's bed. Client walks in and was like, "What the hell are you guys doing?" Separates them, and she says that later that day he was like, "I know what you guys were doing up there." So
Later,
then,
he said, if you're blowing anything, it's me.
yeah, correct.
Yes,
there it
That's
is.
verbatim.
There
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay.
So that's
Jesus
why we had to
Christ.
bring up the
Okay.
raspberries.
Yep. Uh-huh.
But yeah, so Nito corroborated that story, but instead said motorboating. So that was a big thing.
So then when Nito was testifying, did he seem conflicted? I know you said he was trying to back up his sister, but did he seem conflicted? Because I presumably it seems like he would have a good relationship with the uncle. The uncle not only got him
Well,
to
I didn't
school,
presume that.
graduate from honors, is now going away to college. I don't know. I just don't, and I don't know Nito, but did he seem conflicted at all? Or at least have his uncle's back on some things?
Nito, no, man. Nito hated him by this point because our client physically disciplined him. Nito was
I picked up on that.
Nito was kind of a shithead growing up, but he turned around. He did graduate with honors, but I think that, like Tirza was saying earlier, he heard his sister told him about this. He's not the cops. It's not his job to go investigate. It's his job to be like, I have your back no matter what.
Right.
Fuck this guy. And it was he was not only, it was clear that he hated client on the stand, but he was just Nito was so stressed out. Like, I mean, he looked like in physical pain. Like he was not having a good time up there.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you said that your client said he was a violent person. You said that your client said he wasn't always nice to the kids and that he was old school and that he had gotten that kid to turn his life around. I sort of assumed that there was some corporal punishment intention there. And then the fact that Chantel wanted to leave if brother wasn't going to be there meant, I mean, you put all those pieces together, it doesn't seem like it was a happy family.
No.
You're exactly right.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it. I mean, that's what actually happened.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So did we talk about the cross of Nito, or have we talked about his testimony enough, or did we get it all out? Anything else?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was.
All right.
We'll just end Nito on the motorboating, and
Yeah.
next is the detective, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
non-forensic interviewing detective.
Yeah, and she was also the one who had the premature birth issue, but her and the baby were okay. So she was the one who did all the work on it. And normally, the affiant will sit at the table with at council table with the Commonwealth. But since she was still on maternity leave or wasn't well enough to be there the whole time, it was just some random guy who sat there. But when it was finally it was another detective. I shouldn't say random guy. It was another detective. But
But he wasn't on the case.
he was not on the case. But anyway, so when Detective Valencic, she gets up there and she's testifying, she didn't really have a whole hell of a lot to say on direct, right, Tirza?
No.
And
Did she seem like she didn't believe your client?
she was just very
Or sorry, the complaining witness?
Sure. Oh yeah. I mean, she definitely didn't believe the client. No. Yeah. She. I mean, well, leading up to it, because I had seen this detective at the prelim, and I've read so many of these police reports. I mean, it seems like she did like some of the most investigative work that I've seen. So I think she cares. I mean, she was so professional. She, when I'm crossing her, because I have, like I said, Chantel had given us almost every inconsistency that we pointed out. She agreed that she had said something different on a prior occasion. But like the toes, and there were several other things that she wouldn't give us. And when I went to the detective, I honestly just forgot to be like, well, so you're a detective and you take all these detailed notes and this and that. I was just like, you wrote a report, right? Yes. Okay. Do you remember what she said? No. If I showed you the report, could you tell me what she said? Yes. And she like didn't fight me, didn't say, well, I might have misinterpreted this. I said, did she say the thing about the toes? Oh yeah, she said that. And everything, like, she was not giving me any. She wasn't putting up any fights. I don't know. She hadn't seen most of the trial, so I'm not sure if she knew that the writing was on the wall or not.
How badly it was
but,
going.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like just a waste of time. Maybe got some inconsistencies out, ready to impeach Chantel.
Yeah, it was quick. It was quick for sure.
But
Great.
impactful.
Yeah.
She told you he was sticking his toes in her orifices, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Were they able to sneak in the fact that she was on maternity leave and had the preemie baby or premature pregnancy or anything like that? Oh,
Nope.
Oh, good.
wow. I'm surprised that.
Nope, didn't do that.
Usually they're able to sneak in that little thing of humanity for them. So
Well,
Yeah.
what they did try to sneak in was, you investigate all these child abuse cases. Yes. Okay. Well, do you charge everyone that you investigate?
Oh,
And
no.
we objected to it, and they like couldn't understand why. But the judge agreed with us, and that
Yeah,
line of questioning
thankfully.
was shut down. Yeah.
great. Okay, so then
They
who
call
testified
anyone else?
next? Yeah, anybody else?
I mean,
The
who else could they have
friend.
called?
Oh, who's the friend?
Go ahead, Tirza. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a friend that Chantel said that she told about these allegations. She disclosed to about the allegations when they were in middle school. So it was her best friend in middle school, and she
What year would
had-
that be? 2017, 2018?
They didn't remember the year,
But it
but
would
it
have been
was
between like 2018, 2019, 2020.
Okay.
right. So she had said that she told her during that time, and that they actually, the way that she disclosed to her was over a Google Doc, because that is how they communicated in middle school. They didn't communicate over text.
The fuck they
If they
did.
were, Right, right.
Exactly.
The middle school
Right.
kids like, look at my Google Doc.
Right, and they were, they would both type on the Google Doc so that you could both see it and all these things. So they actually had a screenshot of this Google Doc that was supposedly created back in 2018. But the screenshot had nothing, no timestamp, nothing. It was basically just all this writing. You couldn't see who said it, who said what. If Chantel said something, if the friend said something, you couldn't see anything because it was just a screenshot
What did it
of
say?
the Google Doc.
What did it say on the Google Doc?
So it basically, yeah, I think Ben's looking for it.
My
What
uncle.
did it?
If it
Yeah,
says
yeah.
anything about
My
toes, I'm
uncle
so
is-
done.
No toes were mentioned,
Does
unfortunately.
your uncle stick his toe in you? Because mine does.
Nothing about the toes. But it just says my
From the
uncle's
nose to the
drunk.
toes. Let's get
It's
What is
a
it?
bunch of like, I don't like it. He's gonna put me on punishment, and then like, oh, he's trying to have sex with me if that's what you don't understand. But like, and I know you guys can't really see it, but it's
Okay.
like Tirza said, there's no timestamps. Like, and we wanted to point out like anyone could have.
That's a
made
Google
this.
Doc?
That's not a Google Doc.
That's what they said it was.
What? That looks like. Oh, how's the arrows up there? What is that?
It's like
My
a search
uncle
function.
is a drunk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He tries
And
to
the-
have you know what with me.
Ew.
Thing
What
I don't
you?
want to do at all. He keeps trying each and every night, but when I just don't do anything, he yells at me, and I'm immediately on punishment. But what? How? Just ew. It's so
Okay.
hard for me to understand real
What-
life right now.
Where's
Plus, I'm
understand-
studying, so you know.
Where's
try
the
not to
metadata? What's the metadata on that picture? What does that
Well,
show?
That's the thing. So out of all this stuff in her phone, we can't find that.
That
And
looks
it's
like a
just a s-
fucking note.
Exactly, right?
Looks
And
like
so
something
that's
she just made.
right. And she had the story to the police. Oh, well, my uncle made me delete this, but somehow I just recovered it, and so now we're going to bring in, the person who's allegedly on the other end of this.
I have never
and
seen a Google Doc look like that.
Yeah, I mean, so well, you know what? Our investigator Marty, I was like, hey, can you like cook up a Google Doc? Like, we're gonna make one that looks just like this, and we're gonna introduce it, and we're gonna do all this crazy shit.
You didn't try
we
and
deci-
402 that out for it not being able to be authenticated?
Oh, we tried. I tried.
You tried.
That
We
was
tried so hard.
Actually, that's a motion in limine that we forgot to mention. We
Yeah.
tried to motion in limine it, and the judge denied it, but he was like, that doesn't mean I'm letting it in. They still have to properly authenticate it, and he
Okay.
ruled that they had properly. I objected again during the trial, that there's no timestamps. Like, what the hell? Yes, we have these people saying, "Yep, I think I remember this, and it was sometime when we were in middle school, and this is what I remember it to be." But that's how they authenticated it.
Okay, so that's bullshit. So this woman
Yeah.
came to testify.
Major bullshit.
And said
Yes.
she'd known Chantel and that this, in fact, is a conversation they had.
Yeah, she definitely started to not remember all of it when she was on the stand.
I'll
So she
bet.
was like, she told me yes, she told me through a Google Doc. Yes, that's how we communicated. And then when she was shown the Google Doc, she was like, yes. But then on cross-examination, she started to get a little more of, I can't remember exactly who said what, if that's exactly what was said. So she definitely. And then it came out when on cross-examination as well. Ben asked her, have you talked to Chantel since these charges have been filed? And she said, yeah, she reached out to me and asked me if I could help her.
Okay.
So that was all we really needed from her.
Right on. All right. That seems like it went okay for you guys. So then, anybody else testify for the prosecution?
Yeah, they had like a childhood disclosure expert. I mean, I'm not sure if they have that where you guys are, but it's
The people who explain
they-
why the kids don't report it.
They have
Yeah.
They always have an expert. The prosecution always has an expert to explain why their case doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
Why their victim is testifying like shit, or why.
Yeah, but I'm like,
Exactly.
like
They can't
some
remember. Children can't remember anything. Everything's normal, and
yeah,
we don't
totally,
actually know anything.
totally consistent with someone who's been abused. Everything you're seeing is consistent
everything.
with
Yep.
abuse, even right
Yep.
now. Um, so did this childhood the trauma disclosure expert actually interview Chantel before the trial? Review
No,
any police reports, any
no.
discovery, meet Chantel?
No, so they just
They're not
testified
allowed.
generally speaking that kids don't report or underreport because yada yada yada, authority,
Hmm.
loyalty, fear,
Yeah,
Yep.
shame.
and there's, they have several of these experts that they call, and like this one, like some of them will fight you tooth and nail and like be idiots about everything. This woman, again, much like the detective, very professional, and like I wasn't gonna fuck with her too much because I didn't really care what she had to say.
Mm.
I pointed out, okay, well, you said this, the study doesn't really say that. Well, you can interpret it that way, I guess.
Yeah.
One of the I want because I objected to her testifying at certain like on certain points, and I got up there and I was just like, you know, obviously you're very educated. My objections weren't meant to do this, so I'm like buttering her up, but she was fine. Like at the end I was like, wouldn't you agree with me? It's like the fact of the matter is like it's just hard to tell when people are telling the truth. She's like, oh yeah, like I have no idea what's going on.
Oh,
I
really?
can't. I'm not here to say that
Yeah.
anybody's telling
She
the
was like,
truth.
"That's why the jury's here, right?" She was like, "I don't
Oh,
know if they're telling the truth
oh,
or
that's
not."
cool. Yeah,
Were you
Yeah.
able to ask her about, I mean, because a lot of these witnesses will come in, like David say, and say, well, all of this is consistent with someone who's been abused. But then my thought is always, yeah, but that doesn't mean our client is the one who abused them. So were you able to talk to her about that? Like, this is someone who has a history, a documented history of other people sexually abusing her.
Well, since like that again, that what we've been discussing about those like eerie allegations did not come out like in full in trial. Like basically, Nito was the one that was like, "Oh yeah, my sister molested us," and that was it. So I didn't get to ask any. I kind of just left that alone.
Thanks, Nito.
You're right, yeah, and because like you guys said, it was always Tirza and I, and our other coworkers had discussed like, but we're all biased. It's like when we heard the blowing raspberry stories, we're like, oh, these kids are definitely sucking each other off. Like we just didn't know if it was obvious to everyone else, and I think it probably was to the jury at that point. So didn't ask the disclosure expert too many
There's at the
questions.
very least, there's some boundary crossing.
Yeah,
For
Yeah.
sure.
There's some inappropriate behavior happening because they're not really understanding what's appropriate or not. Probably because their early childhood experiences were entirely inappropriate.
Yes, exactly.
All right, cool. Any other witnesses for the prosecution you want to talk about?
no.
I think that was it.
All right, cool. So you didn't really need to toe
11,
jam the
18?
expert up a little bit on anything?
No, like I said, I tried to, because I read the studies and I thought I was gonna like, I don't know, no,
Well, once you
Didn't-
got her to say you can't really tell if she's telling the truth, what the hell else
Yeah.
is there to? Yeah, that's
True.
and we're done.
Right.
No further questions.
yeah, it ended fine, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so motion to dismiss. Anything? Any 27 counts knocked out?
We thought about it, but like I had to go through. The judge was like, okay, do you have any motions to make? And I was like, can I get 10 minutes because there's 27 counts and we got to think about all this. But no, there wasn't because I mean she had the way they had directed her was okay. Oral intercourse. Did it happen? Yes. Was it once or more than once? More than once. And there was really no like detail given. And they did the same thing for vaginal, the same thing for anal, the same thing for, did you grab your breasts? And so there wasn't anything specific I could say, or that we could say to be like, the even if believed, there was not sufficient testimony
Yeah.
for one of these
Okay.
counts.
All right, so it's time for the defense then. Did you guys put on a defense?
Nope.
No.
We did not.
All right.
None.
Client didn't want to testify, or with advice? Can we talk about that? With the advice of counsel, didn't testify.
Yeah. He was back and forth for a long time, but both of our advice was to not testify, especially with how well the trial went.
I mean, it would have been great if he got up there and started in the same way he started with Ben, though. So listen, I'm a violent man, but I
Yeah.
didn't do this.
And he really want like he's got like this gruff voice, and he really wanted to, but again throughout the whole process, he was always very appreciative and like willing to listen to our advice, because we all have the clients who are just like, I don't give a fuck what you tell me, like I'm
Yes,
gonna
we
do what
do.
I want.
Yeah. Yeah, we
And
have
this
this.
guy, he was like the antithesis of that. I mean, during trial he was like getting here early. He bought Tears and I muffins and coffee every day, and so we told him, we're
That
like,
was so nice.
you're not testifying. He was like, okay.
I was like, this trial has gone too well so far for you to fuck it up. So,
So you go
Okay.
straight to closing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so it's like we did the medical records had already been admitted, right, by the Commonwealth, and they had also,
Oh,
like,
how did that come in? Your client's medical records.
yeah, so I mean
What
they
witness brought that in, or did you just stipulate to them?
stipulated to them, because again, yeah, like we said, we wanted them in there too, but what they also, it was like, I think that was their Exhibit 6, and then they were like, okay, now here's Exhibit 7, here's one particular page of the medical records. And so the only thing that we entered were 2 pages from the medical records that we had as our A and B. And the first page was uh, the surgical description of the mass that they had removed from his testicle.
The
And
grapefruit.
correct. And the second page was his description to the doctor saying, it's so painful I can't wear underwear anymore. So those are the only two. I was like, this is defendants A and B. Yeah, and then it's time to do closings.
Okay. Tell us about closings then.
Sure. So
the best part.
had spent the Thursday was the last witness, and the judge was off on Friday, so I got a whole weekend to think about the closing, which was awesome. Stressful but awesome. So I had a lot of time to write it, and then Tirza, myself, and another attorney from our office actually came in on Sunday night, and we were here till like 11, kind of tweaking everything and getting it ready to go. Um, so started the closing. We already had the idea that we're going to give the lie board, and Tears was like, we got to have a fucking grapefruit to show these people, right? Like it's you need to use this, and so our investigator,
I don't disagree. I just this is
Just how excited?
this
How
keeps
excited was
fun.
Tirza when she told you that? How excited was Tirza? You're like,
oh yeah, she was fucking thrilled, man.
Grapefruit, no sugar. Were you closing in the morning? I mean, just
So it was
People are visual learners. They need
Yeah.
to see.
so our investigator Marty, he was the one who actually went out and got the grapefruit.
Too.
wait,
He
wait,
got
wait,
two.
wait. Before you talk about this, when she testified on the stand, she talked about there being an oval birthmark, right? Did
Oh.
she ever say, "Hey, there was a giant fucking grapefruit slapping against me the whole time"?
Nope.
Okay, that's the thing. I
Never.
feel like you might miss a birthmark, but you're not gonna miss a grapefruit-sized testicle.
Exactly.
Okay, sorry.
And
Just needed to
no,
clarify.
that's okay. Yeah.
We also did forget to say there was another officer who testified who took the photos of his penis at the
Oh yeah, he
at the
did.
jail, so he had to testify to put those in. So those did come in. They were in evidence. The judge was like, "Do you not want to put these on the big screen and we can just pass them around?" And we were like, yeah, our client would probably prefer that. And the jurors, you just saw them like quickly looking and passing them, like trying not to stare.
Your poor client.
But yeah, it was sad. But okay, go.
well, there's 8 men on the jury, so they don't want to look too close. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, the
Brought
closing
in
when.
an actual grapefruit.
Oh yeah, we had Tirza had them in her bag. In
You had to
her,
have a backup grapefruit, obviously.
yeah. So when I had practiced my closing the night before, I think it was like 42 minutes, and I was like, that's kind of long. I'd like to shave it down. And I
I can't with this whole episode.
but so before I'm not sure if this was at one point like I'm looking up and the oldest juror we put like this guy was 80 years old probably and it was great. We forgot to talk about him on the jury, but we were like, "Oh, you're retired. What do you do with your time?" He's like, "Well, I sit on my couch and I drink booze." And we're like, "You're on the jury, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations." But anyway, so I'm like in the middle of the closing and like I'm reading some off my notes and I just see this guy like waving at me. And the judge isn't paying attention. I'm like, Judge, I don't like this guy needs something's going on here. And the juror was giving him a sign like this. He was like, Judge, I need a break. And so he let the jury go to the bathroom. And the judge asked me, he was like, Mr. Jackson, how much longer do you have? I was like, well, Judge, how long have I been going? He's like, it's been 50 minutes. And I'm like, oh my, I was like 5-0. I was like, Judge, I got like another 25 in me. I think he's like, okay, it is what it is, but whatever.
There's
But
27
anyway,
counts, man.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
long.
And we went through, every
But they were
inconsistent.
very. I told him when he came back because he seemed, and I was like, "Don't be concerned. The jurors are very engaged. They're all still writing notes. Like it wasn't like they were losing interest at all."
And then comes the grapefruit.
And then they were very engaged.
That's
So
the, that's the episode title. And then comes the grapefruit.
So, because it was having already introduced the surgery part that described this mass. It was in centimeters, and so I'm reading. I was like, and then when you guys go
And
back
no
there,
one knows the metric system.
no,
What the
and
fuck
so
are
'cause
centimeters?
exactly, I was like, when you go back there, look at Defendant's Exhibit A. So I was like, I've converted this to inches for you, but it's 6 inches by this, and I had the grapefruit hanging out right next to me, and
And the DAs are looking over at our table like, what the fuck is
and
that?
so I just picked it up and I was like, see, like this isn't even like this is actually smaller than what was on his. And I was like, and this is the guy that's raping someone every other day for 6 years.
Who
Like,
didn't
come on.
fucking notice?
Yeah, right. Yeah, never said anything. Oh yeah, by the way, a year later, here it is. But so yeah, and we get in wrapping all this up. The night before I had like a different ending to the closing, and Tirza was like, that's great, and I thought it was like clever because I can't remember exactly what I said, but she was like,
Something about
you,
the founding fathers.
oh yeah, and she was like, fuck that, like get emotional. I know you can do it. Like go ahead and get emotional. And so I changed the ending of it, and it was awesome. I said
It was so good.
something to the effect of, um, if the Commonwealth had any sense of justice, they would have withdrawn these charges when their two-star witnesses got on the stand and perjured themselves multiple times. But since they won't do it, you have to, and I was like, meanwhile, our client has to sit
Chill.
here through this mockery of a trial. You're looking at photos of his penis, and we got to understand we have the lie board right next to me, and I go, and this is the case they put on. And then I picked up the grapefruit and showed it to him one more time. And
Just what?
closing with, I was like, I said it at the beginning. I'm telling you again, Mr. Tift is not guilty because none of this ever happened. So then went and sat down. I was like, just so
It was
fucking.
epic.
It was. I was like buzzing, man. It was awesome. I felt really good. I left the lie board up, and so then the DA before.
Yeah, wait. Also, when we were doing the lie board, so I was standing up there, and so every time Ben went through one of her lies, I
You
started
were
writing
Vanna
it.
White.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I said when we practiced it the night before. I was like, these jurors are gonna think I'm Vanna White. It's fine. But I started writing them, and the jurors loved it. I mean, they were writing every single time I wrote. They were looking at it, writing down. But the DA, we set it up like right in front of them. So the DA, he like came around and was standing right next to me while I was writing it, just staring at me. And like halfway through, he was like, "Are you done?" I'm like, "No."
No,
I have many more, thank you.
not even
But
close,
we can
buddy.
But I told Ben to take it down because I thought the DA was gonna come up and like scratch off our lies and explain them
on
away.
his
So I was
on
like,
his second argument, because the DA gets a rebuttal argument after the defense argument, right?
no. So we in Pennsylvania we go first,
Really?
and
What?
I
In closing.
hate it.
But you
We
don't
hate
have the
it.
burden.
Right. Well, so
Right.
it's like they how it goes is in openings, they go first, we go second. In closing, we go first, they go last.
That's all of Pennsylvania or Allegheny County?
All of Pennsylvania.
It
What
sucks.
the fuck?
Yeah, I hate it because we don't get to respond to them at all.
Well, but
That's bullshit.
that
They get
shifts the burden. You have to start talking about, okay, all right, so we object.
Yeah.
Here in California, we object to your closing argument rules in Pennsylvania. No, thank
Us-
you.
I object to that as well.
Okay, so the DA gets up there for his argument. You have the whiteboard
Yeah.
up with the 12 lies, and there's a
Yeah.
grapefruit
he-
somewhere.
So instead of addressing any of them, he doesn't, and he just hands the board back. He walks the board over to us and is like, "Can you put this down?" I'm like, "Yeah." And it ended up looking great because he's like, "I don't want the jury looking at all these lies." But Ben, you have to tell the
Okay,
grapefruit.
so-
You have to.
You know, he gets up and the first thing he says was some weird. She was like looking at the jury and he goes, "Well, I told you, and I'm just thinking like, what the fuck? What do you mean you told us?" He is then.
This is like the wildest closing. I just have to preface it as the wildest DA closing I've ever
I
seen
mean,
in my entire life.
I'm
All right.
excited. We have
Yeah.
toes and grapefruits and all kinds of crazy stuff. If this is wild, I'm excited.
Oh man.
He starts saying that like well, Mr. Jackson can see villains everywhere except on his right, and like
Objection?
well, I'm just at this point he's like, I was like, okay, I'll let that one go. And if shit starts getting crazy, whatever. But then he starts talking about like, wow, so Chantel must be a ninja, and literally he's saying the words ninja, master manipulator, like a Marvel villain. He said something
Ninja?
about the Suicide Squad of master manipulators. He was like, wow, she must be Jeffrey Dahmer, talking about his alleged victim. Like he's saying like we're painting her as this quote unquote supervillain, and you guys only have two options: either he did all of this or Chantel is a supervillain, and like just making really idiotic arguments.
Okay.
And like it was a short time into his closing, because that's the thing. He said, Tirza was mentioning it earlier. Like we did not paint Nito, her brother, as a villain. We were like, look, anyone can see why he did this. He loves his sister. He has her back. He came in and lied to you, but he thinks he's doing the right thing. You know what I mean? That's what a good brother does. And he said something like, I went out of my way during my closing to say like, look, what didn't happen here? Chantel didn't sit down with her brother and was like, hey, I'm going to make all this shit up. I need you to lie for me. She decided to do this. He's following in her footsteps, not knowing it. And Ken, the DA, like one of the first things he said in his closing, like, so what? Mr. Jackson wants you to believe that they just sat down and made all this up together? And I'm looking at the jury, and they're all looking like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? It was clear to me that like, Ken had something prepared and then just didn't change anything in response. And that's when he starts going off script. Like, that's when he comes over to council table and he grabs the fucking grapefruit. He said like, yeah, and he's like this little fucking weasel looking guy. And he's like, sir, do you mind if I take this? I'm like, all right. And without saying anything, he just takes a pen and underhandedly stabs a hole into the bottom of this grapefruit.
What?
Just fucking. And
Good thing Tirza about a second one, but okay.
so, right.
You need the backup grapefruit.
He does that. I'm like, I look at Tirza and we're like, what the fuck? Tirza, you got to explain like the face on the female jurors when they saw this.
So the juror number 1, who was a male, starts hysterically laughing. Like he cannot hold it together. He just starts cracking the fuck up, and we're trying to hold our laughter in because he's so close to the jury when he's doing it too. So everybody's like, "What is happening?"
They got
But juror
squirted.
number 6, who was a female juror, like was like in disbelief, and she like looked down and she was just disgusted. Like she could not look the prosecutor in the eye after that at all. She was like looking down, like shaking, like she was like, what the fuck is this guy doing, stabbing this fucking grapefruit in front of
What did
me?
he say when he stabbed it?
Well, that's the thing, right? So when he during the actual stab, he said nothing. He just fucking whoosh, stabs it, and he goes, and so we told you that she was going to describe the surgery, and she told you he had a scar, like, right here. That was his whole point. But, like, he didn't realize that, like, in our thing, like we use that as like this is the mass that was removed. Like I guess he was using that as his like nutsack and just was stabbing it. It was, and then he started saying so because you gotta understand the scar he was saying was at the bottom of this guy's sack, and he made a point to the jury. He was like, obviously when you're having sex, you can see the bottom of someone's like testicles. And everyone's looking like, what the fuck is this guy?
And then he's saying all this wild shit, and then he also says he's like, and yeah, maybe she's inconsistent about some of the times that these happen, right? Maybe she is, but I cannot remember the past 7 years of my sexual experience either. If you ask me.
Nope.
And again, this is where juror number 1, the construction worker who's wearing sunglasses, now he's like audibly laughing. And I'm looking and smiling because everyone's like, yo, it's not hard to describe 0 fucking times now. But he had.
We're really trying to keep our composure, but it is so fucking hard during this. We just keep looking at each other. I'm looking down, trying not to burst into tears.
And the craziest part was, there was a couple. There was secretaries from our office who were watching this closing because Tirza and I did not see this firsthand, but enough people reported to us that this was a fact. So remember, he stabs the grapefruit, then he's talking all this crazy shit. Then he's got to go put the grapefruit down back in front on our table, and then he puts it down and he turns around, and apparently some juice had got on his fingers. He's looking at the jury and he fucking sucks the juice off in his fingers.
No.
It happened. I mean,
No. Oh, God.
Ball sack juice.
right, exactly.
After you just said that was his ball sack.
I can't with this case.
Crazy.
Wild. We kept making a joke that the jury was going to come back with a question during deliberations and be like, can we actually charge the DA with something?
Feel
actually,
violated.
we are violated by the DA in this case.
Oh, God.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. Well, how's your client reacting in this moment? Is he enjoying this? Is he?
I honestly don't know. I was we were sitting on Tirza and I were sitting on either side of him. I was making so many faces at the jury. Can you believe this guy? So I'm not really sure how he was reacting.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think I looked at him. I don't think he was really reacting that much.
What about the judge? Was the
That
judge?
is
Oh,
an excellent question.
The judge is laughing as well.
Okay.
We're making
He's
eye
trying to
contact.
put his hand in front of his face so we can't see him.
When he started talking, he said villain first, and I'm thinking okay, maybe I should object. When he said Jeffrey Dahmer, I looked at the judge and he's just like, if you want me to, I was first shaking my head. I was just like, we're good. Let him go.
I love those moments where
so
you have
crazy.
those telepathic conversations with the judge, nah, I'm just gonna
I'm good.
let's see where this goes. And stabbing a grapefruit. I mean, this is
And
Oh,
also,
man.
and given also too, we didn't mention that he has another DA at the table with him as his co-counsel, who is a female DA, who would have done a much better closing, but she's sitting there, and I just know that she is like,
dying.
what the fuck is he doing? He just destroyed our case.
She is waiting for the earth to swallow
Dude.
her whole in that moment.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
I got to be associated with this. What the hell?
Oh man, it was such a wild experience to watch.
All right. That's probably the best closing argument for a DA I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
That was pretty awesome. Okay. So then.
How long were they out for?
Yeah. How long did the jurors deliberate for?
So they got the case at just after 2:30.
On a Friday or a Thursday?
This was a Monday.
Oh, Monday.
Oh,
The
good.
weekend. That's right. Okay. On
So,
Monday.
and the judges here, they'll keep people the varying time. Normally, they want to let them go right at 4:30, and the clerks will text us okay, they're letting them go, or just give us if they're going to stay a little bit longer, but they'll keep us in the loop. I didn't get a text, and now we're at 4:30 is the end of the day for these courts, and so we're at 5:30. I'm like, what the fuck? They wouldn't have just sent the jury home without telling me. And Tirza's here, our coworker Kevin sits right across, and it's getting close to decision time. Kevin's like, well, this judge usually will keep them till 6 o'clock. And I'm like, okay, so it's 5:30, and then Tirza and Kevin are like, man, the worst thing in the world would be if we got a verdict right now. Like, we're fucked if we get a verdict. And at 5:50, I get a call from the clerk, and it's like, hey, come on over, we got a verdict. And it was like, I'm on the phone with the clerk, and Kevin and Tears are like just panicking and like trying not to let me see them panic. And so anyway, so we get the call at 5:50, and the client has been outside the office, like chain smoking, listening to Spotify on his phone, just like having a great time. We're like, okay, it's time to go over.
Having a great
And
time.
and so he was stressed, and now we're all stressed. I'm thinking like, man, the DA really fucked this up, and I feel really good about the closing. Like I'm really hoping it's good news, but it's hard to you never know. You know what I mean? And so we make it through security. We're walking over to the courthouse, which is right across the street from our office. So we get through security. We're in the elevator, and you can cut the tension with the rope, and it's like the most painful silence ever. And the elevator starts to move, and like no one is looking at each other. We're not saying fucking anything. And then the client, he out of nowhere, he just like, to break the silence, he just goes, dun 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 dun. Like not knowing if he's gonna see the outside ever again. And like, that was just so fucking cool for him to do that, like kind of lighten the mood. And then our coworker Kevin was like, all right, so when we get the good news, like you come in and drinking with us, and we're like, dude, what? You're gonna jinx this? Like, what the fuck?
Like, shut up.
But he was like, oh yeah. So then we made it to the courtroom, and it's those are the most stressful moments, like
The most stressful hour. They had so
Oh
many
my
verdict
God.
forms to read.
Oh, well,
Jesus.
it was crazy because so we all get seated, and they're saying, okay, we're about to bring the jury in, and the client, he's out of jail, so now he's taking all of the shit out of his pockets, like just in case he's got to go. It's emotional time, and
I'm trying to hold
I
tears
know.
back. I'm like, it
We
was rough.
I shook his hand one last time, and then it's like the jury comes in, and they the foreperson has a verdict slip, and then they got to hand it to the clerk, who hands it to the judge. Judge takes a brief look at it. He gives it back to the clerk. Okay, now it's time to read. And in real time, probably 30, 40 seconds have surpassed, but it already feels like we've been in there for 35 minutes.
Yeah.
And so then the foreperson starts reading, and she reads the caption. The first one is not guilty, and you're like, oh my God, like it's just such a weight off your shoulders. But then you're like, 26 more.
to
Holy
go.
shit. And it's an 11-page verdict form, and the
Jesus.
foreperson, the risk analyst woman, she was like putting some zest on it. She was like, she would read a count and then take a pause. Not guilty, and it was just like that.
Oh
for
my God.
She was loving her moment.
She was.
She
man.
was.
And
And
there was no
yeah.
they didn't like signal to you. No one smiled at you or winked or anything like that.
I was gonna say that. So I always try to look when they're walking in and see if they make any faces, if they look at the client. And at first, when they walked in, no one looked at him, and so I was instantly scared. I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh no, why aren't they looking at him?"
Mhm.
And then when they got up into their seats, two of the jurors that I really liked looked right at him, and so I instantly was like, "Okay, maybe we're okay."
But it's
But
like,
no one smiled or any. They are always. I feel like the jurors here are always like. I don't know if people instruct them, but they're always so good at like not showing anything throughout the whole trial. Like we could not read them at all during the trial, other than the laughter and disgust. But other than that, you couldn't read them.
So not guilty for 11 page. Like how many? This just went on the same zest 27 times.
Oh, yeah.
or, like
yeah,
26?
and it was like halfway through, and like, because I'm standing up there, my legs are shaking, like it's because it was insane, and um
And the client starts like when
oh
we get
right,
halfway through, it starts just bawling his eyes out. Like I
and,
mean, he was just bawling his eyes out, looking at me, and I'm like trying to half hug him, so he's not. He's crying so much. And I was like, it's okay, you can cry. And then I started crying. Ben started crying. It was
oh
just
yeah.
a lot of tears.
Well, it was like because I knew that I heard him start sniffling. I'm like, if I even like divert my eyes a little bit, I'm gonna start crying. And I kept it together until we were 1 foot out of the courtroom. 1 foot out of the courtroom. Now I'm just a blubbering mess. We're all crying. And Kevin, like I keep talking about our coworker Kevin, but he had won a trial like this last June, and me and him went to his client's house, and we're drinking with him, and I got a picture of him and the client hugging, right? And I told him, I was like, I need one of those. I need one of those after this case. And so Kevin was there, like I'm all crying. He took so many pictures. It was it was incredible. Because
Yeah.
we hated the case before we started trying it. Like before Chantel got on the stand and started testifying wildly, it was like, there's a chance that this guy who I've gotten to know for the past 18 months, like he's done. So it was a massive relief, and so we took
And
him.
so,
Go ahead.
and I was just gonna say we were all crying in the hallway, obviously so happy. And our client comes up and he says, "Can I hug you?" And I'm like, "Of course you can hug me." And he hugs me, and then afterwards he goes, "You understand I'm a little paranoid now." And I was like,
him.
I love him. He's the best. We drank with him after we went straight to the bar and celebrated,
Yeah.
and it was truly the best. Like being able to drink and celebrate with him since he was out.
Love it. Did you guys talk to the jurors at all?
We wanted to, but it was, by that time it's like probably quarter
late.
after 6, and
It was
we were like,
midnight, basically, after we read
yeah,
all
for
the
Literally.
in court hours, yeah. And so we were hanging around, and the sheriff's like, "You guys got to go." I was like, "But we want to talk to the jurors." And the one sheriff was like, "Oh yeah, that's fine." And the other one came. He was like, "No, get out! Like you're not staying here." So we got booted.
Yeah.
So we didn't get to talk to him. But
That's awesome. And then
yeah.
have you guys kept in touch with your clients since then? I guess it was only like a month ago this case, this not guilty happened, right?
Yeah, we got the verdict on July 14th. It seems like
Oh,
it's been 3 months.
2 weeks ago. Okay.
Time is weird, but yeah, he's texted me at least a couple of times a week just to shoot the shit.
Yeah.
We were gonna go out to lunch today, me, Tirza, and Dan, but Tirza had to do a plea, so we had to reschedule. But like I said, he really wants to take us out to lunch. He's a great guy. He's funny. Um,
dun, dun,
it's
dun,
yeah, we stay
Yeah.
in touch.
So good. Yeah,
I
and
love
like we
it.
said, like he always brought us muffins and coffee every morning and then drinking with him. It was just he is the best one of the best clients that I've
Yeah.
had at my time here.
Well, Ben, Tirza, it's been great having you guys on the
So
podcast
fun.
today, spending the afternoon with you. I mean, I've enjoyed listening to you two both share your story, and I can only imagine how well you guys worked together during the trial on behalf of your client. So it must have been it just sounds like it was a great job you did.
Yeah,
So
way to do public defenders proud, guys.
yeah,
Hell yeah. No,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Thanks for having us. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was great.
yeah. So we're gonna close it out. Close it out with a question we ask all our guests. We can start with we'll start with Ben. Ben, so how you've been a public defender since 2019? Tell the A&G verse why you became a public defender.
Yeah, I became a public defense. I mean, ever since law school, I knew I wanted to do criminal defense. Being a public defender, you don't have to worry about drumming up business or telling people no, you can't afford help in this scenario. I had worked at an insurance defense firm prior, and I mean, I remember turning away indigent people, and that sucked. And I've always been a big proponent of. I feel like our job, we can hold police and the system accountable to follow the rules because it's easy for them to chip away at people who don't have the resources to put up a fight, and then before you know it, it's not just the poor people who are getting rolled over. It's the rest of us. I think it's one of the most important things. So that's why.
Yeah, I agree.
Amen.
Yeah. And Tirza, why did you become a public defender?
So, I've actually wanted to be a public defender since I was 14. So my brother was in the system, and he went to prison for something he didn't do. And he was actually represented by our office. And our office had a lot of problems in the past. People know that we were sued by the ACLU. So when he was represented by our office, I felt that he didn't get the representation that he deserved. And ever since that time, and being a family member, being in the courtroom, visiting him in prison, all of that really shaped why I wanted to be a public defender and make sure that people in that position, not only defendants, but their family members and everybody had the proper representation throughout throughout the case and throughout the time. And so ever since my experience back when I was 14, I knew that this is what I wanted to dedicate my life to. And I'm so happy that I did because I love this job so, so much.
Thank you. That's great. That's great.
Yeah, wow.
All right. Well, thanks for being on the show today. It's great seeing you. And Lauren, as always, love the.
Such a pleasure.
Yeah. Until next time.
What she said.
Oh boy. Okay.
One last one.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks for being on
Thank
the
you
show.
so much.
All right. Until next time.
Bye.